I don't live in that world. That don't even make sense to me.
Okay, Shalom, brother Radazan. Shalom.
Hey, shalom, shalom to the room. Shalom, shalom, priest.
Shalom, brother.
Grace, peace.
That's your guy you go to. That's the elder right there.
Shalom, family.
So, brother Radazan, what do you think of the topic?
Israelites, why are black people not black? That's a good topic. For one, you know, if you just want to look on the surface level of it, black was a term that was given to us over here in the Americas. Black is a color. It's not a nationality. It's not a it's not a race of people, right? And at one point in time in history, we weren't calling ourselves black and white, right? Even a white man, he wasn't calling himself the white man, right? So black doesn't really identify us as a people of who we really are, but it's something in a term that we've embraced, being over here in America, if that makes sense.
Understood. Okay, so if someone doesn't want to be recognized as part of the nation, is it is it necessarily wrong for them to identify as being black?
Um, it's not. I wouldn't say it's wrong for you to identify as black, but I would say it's more so out of ignorance that you recognize yourself as black, when technically the shirt that I have on in my picture is black, right? I'm not black. I'm brown, right? So I would just say it's a sign of ignorance and respectfully though, not in a disrespectful way, but it's a sign of a lack of understanding of who we are, because no other race of people identifies themselves as a color except when you get to America. Like, even if you go to the white man, the so-called white man in Europe, he doesn't call himself a white man. You know what I'm saying? He's from Spain, or he's from whatever place in Europe he's from. You know, he's not going to say I'm a white man, right? Only in America do we identify as white and black, and the reason for that is actually, when you look into the history of the whole white and black narrative, was to keep the slaves at a lesser level and to have a higher standing over them. So we're white and they're black, right? Meaning they're the absence of a soul, right? And that's the term and the reason why it was given to us in America. So, and another thing, which you got Reverend Jesse Jackson, and we Afro American, and we Afro American, then we black, and it's like then we African American. It's like our nationality changes every so often. It's like, what are we? Go ahead, are you?
Understood. Did someone wanna
Yeah,
respond to that?
the nationality will be American. Sort of fix that.
Yeah,
That's not a
you're right. You're right.
nationality.
No, you're right. Right. Well, see, the thing is, the fact that we as a people are having this discussion, it says a lot about how lost we really are, right? You don't see no other race of people having this type of discussion. What's the nationality? What's not the nationality? What's the race? What's not the race? I mean, that just shows you just how lost we are. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why Israelites, we don't go by black. We don't go by I mean, you can argue, yeah, we're all in America, right? So of course, because we were born over here, we have citizenship over here, we can be recognized as American. But who we are and who we stem from as a people would be Israelites, and that can be proven historically.
Right. So a Chinese person born in America, right? They couldn't consider themselves American, right?
No, they could. They
But
could.
right,
But see, that's
right.
that's
But
the that's the crazy part. Cause listen, if I was born on a plane over the Atlantic Ocean, what's my nationality now?
Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky.
American.
What? How? You see this? I'm saying y'all delusional, man.
If
Y'all
you're
crazy.
born in the United States of America or
If I
naturalized
was
here,
born on
you
a
are a United
plane
States
over
citizen.
the Atlantic Ocean, what will my nationality be?
Delta.
Whatever your
Be rich.
parents name,
Atlantic
your
Ocean,
nationality
I'm
will
a fish
be
now.
your
I'm a
parents'
shark.
Lufthansa.
nationality,
I'm a
which would be
shark. I'm a
American,
fish.
since your parents are American.
I
Brother.
mean, let's not let's do this. Let's do this, family. Like so we don't so we can find a common ground in something,
It
right?
certainly wouldn't be Israelites.
A commonality. Right, but let's think about it like this though. When you had Israel, right, in the history in 333 BC with the Greeks, right? You had a lot of Jews that became Greeks, right? Yes, sir. How you doing, King? Beautiful day. You had a lot of you had a lot of Jews that became Greeks, right? Literally, right? Under the diaspora during the time of the reign of the Greeks. So does that take from the fact that they're actually ethnically Jews? No, but they were recognized as Greeks. A lot of Jews were recognized as Greeks, and that's a historical fact. So it's nothing wrong with us being born in America, and now it's like, yeah, I mean, if you want to get into technicalities, I'm an American citizen. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. But who am I really? I descend from the Jewish people.
Can I
Yeah,
give a
Only,
little can I say
only.
something if it's okay with the room?
Of course, this is a civil conversation that we're having.
I kinda wanna touch on the if I was born in a plane comment. I mean, if you wanna really think about it, when we had during the in the US Coast Guard, right, you have the US Coast Guard, yeah, all these different countries got these different coast guards. When they patrol the ocean, they only go so far into the ocean, and then the other countries pick up. So it, there is borders everywhere and everything. Um, and I forgot what I was the other thing I was gonna say, but there was one thing that I most definitely was gonna say. And if I think about the other one, I'll say something.
This,
Disney.
this,
Like, what if you were born at Disneyland in Disneyland,
Is
or
Disneyland
it's
America?
not even that hard. It's not that hard, man. A Chinaman born in Africa is still a Chinaman. He ain't African now. He's a Chinaman. So this shit not hard, bro.
right? And that's the
Oh,
thing.
I know what the other one
It's the
was. I
conflation.
remember. I mean, but even if you look at scripture, you can look at Paul, since everybody love to go to Paul in Roman. He mentioned that he was a Roman citizen.
Right,
He
right.
he was considered Roman because of his citizenship. But even though he said, "I am an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin," is the same concept.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Con.
This that argument is just it's foolish, man. That
I'm,
So wait, Anthony, are you an Israelite or you're not an
no, I
Israelite?
am Israelite, but I'm saying we ain't got to go to the Bible to figure that out. That's just common sense. Like an East Indian man born in America is still an East Indian man. He just reside in a place called America. Don't change your nationality just because you switching lanes. Your nationality come from your ancestors, not a piece of land.
The
Okay.
prefix in that word is nat, a nate, like natal, umbilical cord. So like it's where you're born, where you're born to attach to the land in terms of where your family comes from, where your genealogy comes from.
Oh, that reminded me. They had an argument a few years back about white lady that was born in Africa, but then she migrated to the U.S., became a U.S. citizen. What does she mark on her application?
I mean, if she's a U.S. citizen, I would assume that she would mark U.S. citizen if she became a U.S. citizen. But I mean, I would assume that. But like I think, like the brother Anthony said, I mean, and I love how the sister Sarah she put it. It's very beautiful. I mean, you can be, you can have citizenship in a particular area, but that does not determine ethnically who you are, right? So, for instance, there's no American race of people. That, that,
Wake
that
it up,
doesn't
brother.
that doesn't even exist. There's no such thing as I'm a race of American, right? America is just a melting pot of all nations. That's why you have Chinese American, you have Japanese American. They're still holding on to who they are ethnically, but they are claiming the citizenship of America, like the sister brought out that was beautiful with Paul. He said, I am a Roman citizen, but he's still of the tribe of Benjamin, right? So the problem with black people is since we lack identity, we get caught up in the mind. I think this is where Anthony is going. We get caught up in the mind of thinking we're American ethnically in a sense because we don't have an ethnic background that we can identify ourselves with. So we hold on and say, I'm American. You don't ever see, even if you go to a Chinese man and you ask him, hey, who are you? He's going to say, I'm Chinese.
Exactly.
Even if he's born in America, he's going to say, I'm Chinese,
I'm Irish American.
right?
I'm Polish
Or
American.
I'm Irish.
So
Yeah,
it's
black
everybody.
people are the only ones. Exactly, black people are the only so-called black people are the only ones that say, who are you? I'm just American.
Well, for me,
How
sorry
you think?
guys.
Go ahead, sis.
My parents are Haitian. I don't never say I'm American. I've always said I'm
Thank you,
Haitian.
sis.
You more woke than others. Well, I would say this: a lot of our people from the Caribbeans, they definitely hold on to their, like, if you're from Haitian descent, from
Dominican,
Puerto
they
Rican
hold on to
descent,
their lineage.
Dominican.
Jamaican.
Exactly. Black people on the I was having a conversation with a brother that's from Boston. He told me, he was like, the black people on the East Coast are more diverse, right? But the black people on the West Coast are not as diverse. So you're not going to see, you're still going to see Dominicans and Haitians and things of that nature, but you're not going to see it in a large scope of things as on the East Coast. So here on the West Coast, we just American. We just African American. We just black. You know what I'm saying? We don't hold on to who we actually really are. But even if you want to get down to it, even Haitian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, even those are not ethnically who we are, right? So I just yield on that.
Right, in the Bible, right? That's how we know like all the nations, right? Because it gives like birth. This is the son and son and the son and the son of. It doesn't speak to where somebody is at land wise. It might attach it to the end of their prefix, like it might be uh like Andre from Judah, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. And these names really are just part of a bigger empirical structure, right? Because even when you look at America, it was a different name before. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why you not that? Why you American? That's a social construct that you're claiming is your inheritance. You know what I'm saying? And that's nonsensical, to be honest with you.
So you don't think people that are born here should call themselves
You
Americans?
just ain't listening to nothing all us just said. That's what you just want to be convinced.
I'm talking to Alpha, sir. Thank you, Alpha.
Don't
You
answer
don't
my phone.
agree
Oh,
with
We
people
already answered
born
10
here
times already.
calling
Don't answer.
themselves Americans?
yeah.
I mean, and if you have something you want to say it, and then I guess we can build. But if not, I would prefer to talk to
We
Alpha.
just said it 10 times. We've been going for like 10 minutes straight about that topic.
But
Like,
Yeah,
come
it's
on,
all
bro.
it's all good, bro. It's all good.
so
It's all
are you
good.
born in?
So
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
born in America, right? So I'm an American citizen based upon social construct. But from the flesh sense of me, because I am a man, and because I'm a man and I'm standing in front of you, that means I've come from another man and woman, right? So that history extends past the social construct of America. So yeah, in a modern term, I would be, I can, I would consider myself an American citizen because that's just how this structure of our current system works, right? So I have to navigate like that, but it's not true uh, in the sense of flesh and bone.
There's a difference
Yeah,
between.
yeah, I don't think American citizens meant to describe, flesh and bone. It's meant to describe a nation and the citizens that are a part of it. Certainly, you can call yourself a porcupine, but if you want to be that, that's cool. But I'm not sure why we continue to devalue what a citizen is, what an American is, just because you choose to engage in, allegory.
It's not hold on. It's not about it's not about taking anything away, right, or devaluing, you know, the citizenship of America, right? Even it's about recognizing that everyone else has an ethnic identity attached to their citizenship. You don't have that. That's the point. A
Would you
city, a
agree that
city.
African American is what you're saying we
Well,
don't
let me
have?
tell you the problem with that. Let me tell you the problem with.
That's not a real thing
I'm
either.
gonna tell you the
It's,
problem with
it's not a
African
real thing.
American.
You saying
Wait, so Neb, hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Listen. Salakia, brother. Yeah, all peace. I'm gonna tell you the problem with the term African American, right? African and American, that's still not identifying who you are ethnically, because how many African nations are in Africa? And what African nation do you actually descend from, right? So that's a problem because now you're claiming ethnically I'm just two continents. And when I talk to Pan-Africanists, because I have a lot of friends that are Pan-Africans, right? I have a lot of friends that are Pan-Africans, and I ask them all the time. I'm like, "Who are you?" I'm a Pan-African. Okay, what Pan-African group? Because not all Africans identify as the same people. I'm just all of them. That doesn't make sense.
That's
How can
madness.
how can you just be all of them when not all Africa even claims relation to each other? You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
just
So,
goes that just goes to, and I'm gonna let you have it after this, King.
yes,
And
sir.
this is respect and love. That just goes to a group of people who are trying to find identity that don't have one, it was stolen, and we're just holding on and saying, well, I'll just claim the whole continent. That's not good enough for me. I'll yield with this one story. I remember before I came into the knowledge of us being Israelites, I was actually studying Pan Africanism, and I was actually taking a class, right? Cal State Dominguez. I was taking a course on Pan Africanism, and we had a brother come and he spoke about his experiences and him going back into, I forgot what African country, land it was, but he went back to Africa and he basically felt welcomed by the people that he went to visit, and he got citizenship over there, and he said that became his family. So after his speech was done, which was beautiful, I walked up to him and I said, you know, brother, I'm trying to find out who I am, and your story was very moving and compelling. And I was like, but did you actually end up finding out where you come from? And he said, no, I didn't find out actually where I come from, but I just identify, my spirit felt connected to those people, so I just claimed those people. And to me, that wasn't enough to just say, I'll pick any random African tribe in Africa, and if I like the people, then that'll be me. You know, that wasn't enough for me, and that actually led my journey to end up finding out that we were Israelites. But go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And since you've already had a course on Pan Africanism, you know that it was created by Black Americans for Black
Yes,
Americans.
yes.
So for the descendant of a people who are the children of Ma'afa, it makes sense why they will lose that sort of ethnic tie to whatever village or people they were a part of before their ancestors were snatched. So whatever we were able to retain as we came here and we began to form our own communities, that's what the vestiges of African culture that you see that African Americans took to create our own identity and tribe here. So yeah, a lot of people won't know who they are if they snatched at a young age or didn't have the ability to be around their family members because people were sent out throughout the diaspora. So that's a good point. But with the idea that you know where you come from, and the idea that you have people of your lineage around you, and you create these voluntary associations, you grab to an identity similar to the French man does when he come here. He becomes a French American. His people are from France. Unfortunately, we feel like these other European nations or nations around the world are some homogeneous group. The French themselves are not just one group of people. They're a separate group of tribes who decided to form a republic, similar to other European nations during this time period. So, yes, you can say that it's a landmass, but we're speaking about people who are the children of the transatlantic slave trade who were in the Western Hemisphere for that only reason. It would make sense that they will identify with the continent in which they come from, similar to what European Americans do.
Let me
Thank
walk with him real quick. I love this conversation. This is
Go
beautiful.
ahead, brother,
Let me
because
walk.
I'm there.
Yeah, Khan. Let me walk with him real quick. So I get what you're saying. Now, historically, if I was able to show you, right? Because you're saying, okay, yeah, we identify with ethnically because we were taken from that land, so it makes sense that we're trying to identify and connect ourselves with the people of that land. I'm with you on that. I don't have a problem with that. But what if I was to tell you that I have a stronger argument and stronger proof that you're an Israelite based off the transatlantic slave trade than you are just a random African group? That's what made it homed it in for me. Because historically, I can prove to you that the Jews were in West Africa. Historically, we can prove that. We can historically prove that the slave coast was actually the home of the Jews. We can historically prove that, right? I can link my people descend because most black people in America descend from West Africa, right? Notice I said most, right? Most black people, we are from West Africa because that's where was the home of the slave trade, and that's where majority of the slaves were gathered from. I can show you and pinpoint to you that the actual front for the slave trade was actually the home of the Jews for years, right? I can prove that to you, right? So now, why is it that if I could show you that historically, we can't just claim, look, I'm a Jew because historically the Jews were in this land and historically the Jews were taken from this area of this land because it was where the slave coast was. We can walk that. That's a lengthy discussion, but we can prove that, and that's what hit home for me. The fact that I'm like, I can identify with being a Jew based off the transatlantic slave trade instead of picking a random African nation. Boom, we can prove to you that the Jews were in West Africa during the time of the slave trade because we have maps to prove it, right? We have maps and we have historical writings to prove this fact. So that's why we claim who we really are. Outside of the people that were speaking Hebrew, like for instance, you know that song Kumbaya, my Lord, like certain references our people were singing in Hebrew. I think it was I know Priest is on here. It's a letter. It's a statue in Jamestown, I believe, where it literally has the nation of Israel. I'm gonna have to pull it up and PTR it for you.
It's in Virginia.
It's in Virginia. Thank you, the water. It's in Virginia. And correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't it reference us as Israel?
Yeah, it says specifically, this is the Israel Hill is the name of the actual settlement, and this is where it says African American and Israelites settled. So it's called Israel Hill, just a little bit northeast of Appomattox, Virginia. I've visited that location
Yeah,
myself.
and I have friends. Thank you, brother Jared, and I have brothers that actually have visited the area too. So we can prove, and it's tons of more historical evidence that we can link ourselves with the
PTR.
children. With the I'm a PTR it, that we can link ourselves. Our brother Jared, if you could
I got the
PTR, I'm
map
a
up right
PTR the
now.
map.
I got the map up right now.
Oh, you did?
I can ask a
Okay.
question after you done, my
Where did
brother.
Con,
the
I'm landing.
Israelites
I'm I'm
settle,
I'm
brother?
Yeah, I
land.
want
I'm
to
I'm
let
landing.
me
I'm
go ahead and
I'm
click
landing.
on it,
I'm landing.
and
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
let you speak, brother.
Con, I'm a land. I just wanted to put that in there that we can link ourselves with the people. But I'll land right there.
Where
Go
did
ahead.
the
So
Israelites settle from?
real quickly, like 1 minute. I know I don't want to hold the microphone, but just 1 minute for the brother. Certainly we can show that people who practiced Judaism was in West Africa. The Portuguese left a record of their conquest of Qaeda and Guinea or West Africa. They didn't speak of finding any Jewish people there. Certainly, those Portuguese individuals who were practicing Judaism were cast out. They were called lacandos, and they embedded themselves with African populations, marrying African women, having children who were called subsequently Luso-Africans. So that's why you see sort of that culture around those areas. There's a black author by the name of James W.C. Pennington who wrote a book in 1841 that highlighted some of these Portuguese people and the Lacandos who were cast away for practicing Judaism. So yes, you'll find vestiges of that culture there. But more importantly, we're speaking about Black Americans. Black Americans as of 439 didn't come off no ship, suggesting that they were Hebrew Israelites or Israelites at all. We do have vestiges of the cultures here. We have communities in which, and I've been to Israel Hill, and those African Americans that are talking about are black people. The Israelites, they're speaking of Europeans. You know, if you do see a Israelite, the individual, 10 times out of 10 is a convert, there's no masses of people. And for the point about West Africa, I'm not really sure what evidence you will have to suggest outside of Iberian Peninsula contact. I know the pseudo books like Babylon, the Timbuktu, things of that nature highlight some of these things, but we forget. I'm gonna put it in the back channel. 1453, the Portuguese invaded West Africa. They knew exactly what a Jew was. They knew what an Arab was. They knew what a Muslim was and a Christian. They didn't find any Jewish people. They said it themselves. I'm not sure if any of you can provide evidence from the same century and time that highlight
I would
people.
hardly.
I just want to finish 10 seconds. Highlight these specific people and some outside of the Portuguese who were there first, the first Europeans there. They didn't find any Jews or Gentiles. So
I
thank you. I'll
see.
put the link in the back chat.
Hey, I see what your problem is. If the white man don't tell you, then it's not real. Cause that's all you basically just said. The white people ain't say
Bible
y'all
was
was dead,
printed
so
by the
y'all
white
white
man.
man. That's all you just said.
King
That's
James
all
is
you
the
just
white
said.
man.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
let's keep
Right.
it let's keep it on top. This is
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Let's
I
keep
know.
let's let the
Yeah,
brother
yeah.
get edified. Let's
Emotionalism
let the
happens.
brother get.
and
This topic
also
is
like
entertaining.
Brother, so
there's
he just
also
being
like
contentious for no reason.
Yeah, he
right,
is.
right,
But you
right.
know what?
But
I'm gonna say
there's
this
a
to you, brothers. Right? Like he is. I can sense it. But it's edifying for the room, right?
Yeah,
So
ain't no.
we
Yeah.
gonna let him, yeah, we gonna let
Yeah, I'm
him,
sorry.
ask his
I
I
mean,
questions.
just hate when
unsurprising that
Islam
y'all haven't brought up any black
retarded.
people. We're talking about
Right,
race.
I
right.
just
Here's
hate
the
I
thing,
hate
though,
when
right? A
Islam,
lot of
man.
those
I hate these
names of the
Negro
people.
loving white men so
Right,
bad,
Anthony,
man.
brother, hold on. Like when you look at a lot of the names of the people that were on those ships, those names were Hebraic, right? They had Hebrew names, right? So, I mean, I don't think that's a by chance. And as far as the Portuguese, there's definitely a period of black, quote unquote, Hebrew rulership in Europe, in those places in Portugal, Spain, England, and things of that nature, right? That's why there's a period of time that you have to recognize, the Renaissance period, and a lot of the iconoclasm that was going on during that period, the erasure of uh, the people that was there, to the point where now we were in the jungle, just in rags with no thought. I think that's really disrespectful to our heritage, to think that we didn't have a place, a major role in the movement of civilization. I mean, we can see that now in this small little period of time that we've even been in America. I would say that we actually are a bigger contributor of the power of the United States globally. You know what I'm saying? And that same thing was prevalent even in those times. I think that through whitewashing and iconoclasm, that when you hear the word Greece, Rome, even the Byzantine Empire, the image that flashes in someone's head is that of a Caucasian, when actually it was a very diverse area, right? And when you have people moving with a certain intention, they're definitely going to omit certain things throughout history, um, and that's clear. In the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, even then it says, it has the forefathers, but yet the Negroes not placed under any forefather. Why is that? Is that because we didn't have a forefather? We just appeared on the earth. Yeah, you can read a book. Okay, that's cool. But the point of reading the book is to gather the grapes. And to gather the grapes, you got to have some kind of foundation that makes sense, and it has to line up logically. It, by them saying that there were no Jews in those areas, when we have actual historical information that tells us otherwise, I mean, that's something we have to take in consideration, and we can't let just one book dissuade us from that. I think when we do that, we're being disingenuous, um and we're submitting to our oppressors as the authority figure on delivering information to us, and I think that could be a dangerous line.
Real quick too, and I could tell the brother probably needs to go into different lines of studying, because when I study Pan-Africanism, everything is African, and it doesn't allow you to view the full story of what really transpired, right, with our people, right? So just like he said, there's no proof, right? And then he mentioned from Babylon to Timbuktu, which I never bring out from Babylon to Timbuktu when talking to a Pan-African, because they are going to say that it's pseudo, right? So I'll bring out other
I mean,
documentations
it is
like,
pseudo.
well, let me. That's your opinion, right? But we
No, I
can
think the
we
author
can
thinks
take
it's
what.
pseudo.
Well, hold on, real quick.
So you just
That,
being contentious.
hold on, real quick. Salakia, let me just say this. So that could be your opinion, because I could take. See, what I like to do is I like to cross reference, especially when I study history, because I love history. I was also a history major. So one of the ways you can verify history is you don't take the account of one person's perspective of history. You take multiple accounts. It might be a little tad different, but if they're all saying the same common thing, then you can identify, okay, this is a real historical event. If you're a historian, that's what most historians do, right? So for instance, I'm gonna use an example. 9/11 happened. Well, everybody's gonna have their own idea or point of view of what how 9/11 made them feel, but the common goal is that 9/11 happened. So when I study from Babylon to Timbuktu, I just don't take his writings and say this is just historical fact. I'll take his sources that he cites in his book, which I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you know that, all his sources that he cites in his book, and I'm going to research his sources. I'm also going to research what he says historically. Now, hold this. This is how I know that you're not familiar with the history of the Hebrews in West Africa. Because if you were, you would have known that you still have African tribes today who claim Jewish descent. Not
Over 40
religion,
million.
not exactly, not religion, Jewish descent. I'll name you two, which are the popular ones. The Limba tribe and the Igbo tribe, both in West Africa. All you got to do is Google the two tribes I just named, and they will tell you they come from Jewish descent. All right? African. So if there weren't no people in that land that were Israelites, then why do we have African nations claiming Jewish descent, not religion? Even to where they hold to what specific tribe? I think the Limba tribe says they're from the tribe of Reuben. You understand? I believe it's Reuben. Brothers can correct me if I'm wrong. So we're not just speaking out of our ass here. Also, there's another good book that you can research called Hebrewisms of West Africa. And it wasn't written by Rudolph R. Windsor, right? Matter of fact, I'm a PTR so y'all can
Yes,
actually get the
unfortunately, I've
book.
read it.
Hold on. I'll PTR the book for you. Because if you read that book without a biased perspective and you went into the history of what was brought out in that book, leading you to certain African tribes understanding that they come from Israelites, then it would be ignorant for you to say that there's no proof at all that there's any Hebrew presence. You can correct me if I'm wrong if you didn't mean it that way, but there's no
No, I'm
proof at
saying the
all.
reason why there's Hebrews there is
Hold
because
on,
of Israel.
let me say this.
Go ahead,
Real
son.
quick, let me land. I'm gonna let you say this. So now let me tell you why now let me tell you the problem with your thinking there, because now we have to listen to you say this respectfully. Now I have to listen to you tell me that a people's culture that they're claiming, that they're saying who they descend from, I have to take your word that they're lying when you don't even know who you are. You call yourself
Thank
black.
you.
So
No,
Thank
I'm
you.
so
saying
for
where
you, so for
lying
wait,
from.
hold on, listen. So for
Those
you to
people
say,
didn't exist
let,
when the
let me let
Portuguese
me
came in
let
the
me fin
15th century. The
right, let me
Portuguese
finish.
didn't identify any Israelites.
Right, let me finish. You're saying the Portuguese. Right. You're talking about the Portuguese. That's a second-hand account. I'm talking about
No,
a
that's
race of
the
people
first hand account.
who
They were there.
wait, can I
I mean,
let me
That's the
finish.
white
you've
man
been
account.
talking for a
That's all
long
that
time.
Wait,
matters.
hold on.
You know the
I'm
Bible
about to, and I'll
pretty
let
well.
you
One mic,
wait.
please. One mic
Hold
on
on,
I
Seb.
Ra's
mean, you
turn.
Right. Seb, I let you
Go.
speak. I didn't interrupt you though, King. I didn't do that. You spoke, and I
can
even
you
told the
finish up
brothers to
though, so I
yield to you
can
when you spoke.
speak? You've been talking for a while.
That's kind of that's kind
Emotional
of
ass
rude, King.
brother, man.
Hold on, it's cool, Gabriel. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I think we all can see. Everybody in this room is intelligent. When a man can't hold his emotions, that means he's either intimidated by what you brought out or he lacks the understanding of what you bringing out. Because I didn't interrupt this brother and when he said what he said, and we also, when the other brothers were interrupting you that I respect on the platform, I told them to let you finish. So the fact that you telling me I need to hurry up, unless one of the mods tell me to be
Yes, please, son.
quiet, hold on. Unless one of the mods tell me, Ratazan, you talking too damn much, be quiet. I'm gonna just get this out, okay? And I will respect that on the platform, because this is not your platform. So let me just say this,
Is it yours?
and I'm a
brother.
yield. I'm a yield. No, it's not mine. I'm
Okay, then.
yielding
So
to
get
Brother,
to your
the.
point rather than lecture.
I'm yielding. I'm yielding
Since
to
that
the.
we have
Okay,
the
like what's going
opportunity to
on?
run our room, so please
My
respectfully
apologies.
let everyone speak. Do not cut anyone off. We have a one mic policy.
And Brother just to
Yes,
let you
ma'am.
know, I had already posted Hebrewisms of West Africa at the top.
Okay, thank you, sister. Appreciate it. And I respect you guys. So at any time the mods want to stop me, please feel free to stop me and I'll mute up real quick. I'll just say this thing and I'll let the brother speak since he's so eager to prove his points. One thing about truth, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Truth is what it is. So, let me just let the brother, since he's so eager, get it. But I'm going to say this. I don't care what the Portuguese say. I don't care what any colonizers say. If the people themselves, of the land themselves, you can't tell those people what happened to them in their own history. They're saying that's why I made emphasis on this. They descend from Israelite blood, or they descend from Israelites tribes, not converts. I can prove to you the Jewish community in Israel right now are converts. I can prove that to you. The Lumba tribe and the Igbo tribe, just to name those two, they say they descend from those group of people. So it's asinine for you to think that you could tell those people where they descend from and where they don't descend from. But I yield.
Again, I don't think any of the tribes that you referenced were around in the 15th century when the Portuguese were, and that's the first-hand account. And I'm unsure why you don't like European texts so much now when you read the Bible, which is a European text. So I'll let that stay there
That's what I'm
since
saying,
you
man.
have an issue with both.
Okay, so let me reset the
Hey,
room
Raquel.
real quick. Hi, one second, guys. Welcome
Yeah.
to Cloud9 Music Group. How are you guys? This is our home. Um, at least I love to have intellectual conversations and thought provoking conversations. Today we're examining Israelites. Why are Black people not Black? I love that you guys pull up and show out. I appreciate you guys. So shalom. I know Saturday was Shabbat, so Shabbat shalom to anyone that missed it. I do know that we have some Christians in here. Peace be with you. And I know that we have some Muslims in here. So assalamu alaikum, or Islam, as you guys like to say. So peaceful conversation. We can have a difference of opinions. Please share the room. I would appreciate that. We don't ask for any money. We just ask for the support. So please share the room. If you cannot come on stage, the chat is there for your use. And if you want to come on stage, you just have to follow the greenhouse, refresh the page, and then raise your hand. We're having a beautiful discussion. Let's remember to keep it respectful and on one accord, okay? So when someone is speaking, do not interrupt. I love decorum. I love order because while you guys are speaking and I'm retaining this information, I'm working. So I don't like loud noise. I just want to understand where everyone's thoughts are when it comes to the topic. I appreciate you all. Someone did shout out my name. So who was that?
That was that was me. It'd be like 10
Shalom,
seconds.
priest. Yes, darling.
Yeah, shalom, shalom. Real quick. Also, just to land back on what Ratazan was saying, because Ratazan mentioned the tribes in Nigeria, but when you move a little westward and go to Ghana, you have hundreds of thousands of Israelites there as well. And the Portuguese that had nothing to do with that. You can actually go on YouTube and just pull up videos where you have people from Ghana, different tribes, that are telling you, showing you both historically as well as through their oral traditions that they migrated from Israel westward to Ghana starting in 70 AD. This is their oral traditions, as well as they have the historical facts to back it up as well, which have nothing to do with the Portuguese. And so, what we're being told is, we're being told that, oh, we don't accept the white man this and the white man that. It's not that. White people have hegemony over a lot of people's records. They have the museums and the institutes and all the stuff like that. We understand they have control of a lot of people's records, but they're not the be all end all of people's nationalities. Like someone's primary nationality will be based on their oral traditions and their records, not an outside people coming and telling you who you are, and that's the problem. So when white sources and white scholarship is appropriate, we use it. But these people have a tradition that takes them back to Israel in 70 AD in Ghana. This is their tradition. And what we are saying is that the white man cannot come from the outside in and tell these people who have this tradition for thousands of years, no, that's not who you are. This is who you are. That's what Ratazan was trying to say. It's as simple as that. It's really not that difficult. It's not just Nigeria alone. It's many other countries in Africa as well that have nothing to do with the Portuguese. We've heard the Portuguese argument before, and that might work for you in Nigeria, but it won't work so well for you in Ghana.
Appreciate you, Shalom. I'm noticing that we got 105 people here as of the moment, and only 10 shares. I'm gonna need at least 50. I'm gonna need 50 shares, or we're gonna shut down the chat. You got about 35. I'll give you a whole 90 seconds. Y'all got 90 seconds to get this number up.
Hey, I just wanted to add a quick point real quick. This the book of Deuteronomy because this is my position. It's the book of Deuteronomy 28, and I'm gonna start at
You
46.
real low, brother.
And
You
they
real
shall,
low.
can brothers hear
Yeah.
me? And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Now I'm gonna go back one verse to give you the context of what shall be the sign. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And again, and they shall be up on thee for a sign and for a wonder, and up on thy seed forever. So this the Lord telling us that these curses that's going that I proceed to bring out in a minute after they get it together. That this was going to happen to the children of Israel, and we could go into proving this.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Who
Go
said they
ahead.
have a question?
Yeah, Vel. He been waiting to speak for a minute. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
What's up, man? Shalom, peace to brothers and sisters, and all of that. So I guess I heard. I came in when the other dude was saying he came to the conclusion because of based on the transatlantic slave trade. So could we find those primary sources of these people, millions of people that came on the boats? That's the first question. To lead to my next question, I would want to find the records and did anybody actually see the boats? Do they have the log numbers? Could they give us some primary sources that was around the time of 1600s, 1500s? Could they provide these things that prove that millions of people came on boats like sardines?
Can I
And
jump in?
just and before someone can answer Yavel, you're coming from the Moorish nation. Is that correct?
And I'm American, yeah, original American.
Okay, thank you so
But
much. Just so everyone has that for context.
Hi, this is 80s. So, Yavel, I think you pose a great question. At the same time, I feel like secondary source is strange to me when the gentleman just highlighted that there's a whole group of people, actually, there's several groups of people that are giving you firsthand, you know what I'm saying, evidence of their own experience, their culture, and they also have the traditions and belief systems and history of the dispersed people from Jerusalem since 70 AD. So the fact that we're skipping to 1600 and at the same time completely disregarding firsthand accounts, I just find that rather it's obstructionary. Thanks.
no,
Yeah,
no,
you
no.
you
I
my
Because
dog.
encourage, I encourage,
You
I
my
encourage, I encourage the discourse because for people who are onlooking, these are questions that need to be asked and answered, and some questions can't be answered, and that's all right. But this is a good cultural exchange, and I want to foster a peaceful setting. So let I just keep the peace.
right.
Have
So
y'all
so
discourse.
what I'm so what I'm saying is we fast forward to 1600s because per se we're talking about our people in America and per se finding out what happened. So we're not going to go to 700 because we know per se based on a transatlantic theory that this is how we're here on this landmass. So everything that is around it calculated around that event and around those people supposedly. So I wanted to ask that question and not go to 7 AD or into an older history.
All right.
So
So
I
if you're
think the
looking
brother is
for,
asking for
oh,
hands-on proof of like physical evidence of boats or just historical references of the slave ships.
right. So here's the thing. There's a couple of things that, like, it's a long, deep conversation, to have. So I'm just going to touch a couple of points. Number one, nobody ever claimed. I'm not saying that you said we claimed this. So I'm just going to make the statement matter of factly. Nobody ever claimed that knows history even a little bit would make the claim that every black person that came to America came here as a slave, because we know, pursuant to many historians, one of them, a great historian that you could read, is it's a book you could read actually called Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. That's a good book, and there's many others that let you know that after the Moors fell in Spain in 1492, you had a lot of Moors that came to the Americas in the late 14 and early 1500s as freedmen. They came here in the 1500s. And eventually, when the color codes and everything came into play later on, they went into slavery in addition to the Israelites that were, or I'll just say the blacks that were coming over from Africa. So we don't claim that every single black person that came to the shores of America came here on a ship. That wouldn't be historically accurate. But many of us did come from Africa. Oh, huh?
All right, okay, no, no,
Okay.
no. Continue. My fault.
Yeah.
But
Number
are you
two,
agreeing that millions of people that this is
I'm
the
not gonna.
basis
I'm
the
see.
basis of this? we
Here's the
have
thing: it
we
would
have
be foolish to think that nobody derived here in America from slavery. That would be foolish
See,
to
here's
think.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? There are a lot of records, right? You understand that records get destroyed, records get lost, so forth and so on. There are a lot of records proving slave voyages from West Africa to the Americas. We know this; it's factual. What the actual
to,
numbers
to
are?
provide resources for us because we don't
Well,
want to
hold on,
just
hold on.
believe it.
I mean, they're out there, bro. You can go and look at slave law. You go to slavevoyages.com. There's plenty of places you can go and see this stuff. I'm not arguing the number. That's an argument you want to have. I'm not arguing the exact number, but we definitely know that slave voyages took place, right? This is
All
what
right,
we
so,
know.
so
Now, what
this
you gotta let me,
so my second
like get a
so my
cohesive.
my
You
second
gotta,
point is
hey,
this.
bro,
My second
let's keep
one
point
it
is this.
second.
decorum, Yaville,
You just gotta
Yaville.
let me
Just like
kind of
we
get my cohesive point
yeah,
out because you don't even
just
know
like
where I'm going with this. Hey, bro,
just
I
like
didn't
we
even
ran the
fully
last
answer the
room.
question.
Just like we ran the last room, we want this room to be conducted in the same way. So we want to adhere to the one mic policy. You will have your time to
Yeah.
rebuttal or respond. Just
Yeah,
let's
I'm not
keep the
gonna be long.
decorum.
Like we definitely could have a back and forth. I just wanted to let me finish the sentence. That's all. But we can definitely have a back and forth. I'm not tripping about him asking me questions. But I don't think he could ask me a question if he doesn't know my statement first. So what I'm doing is he's throwing numbers out there like millions. Nobody made the claim. So I don't have to approve that because I never made the claim. We know for a fact that there were slave voyages from West Africa to the Americas. What the number is up for debate because many of those records have been destroyed. But what does survive proves there definitely was a slave trade. Now, people always asking, where's the slave ships? There's no such thing really as a slave ship. There are cargo ships and those cargo ships, sometimes the cargo was slaves. There wasn't something that was just designated only as a slave ship. These are arguments that people make as though we make these arguments, but we're not making these arguments. So when he's asking, and I'm going to land right here so he can say what he has to say. When you're making statements that people are making, are the people in this room and on the stage making the statements that you're saying that we're making? That's the question I'm asking you before you actually tell somebody
All
to
right,
prove something that we're not saying.
so So my statement is really not none of our people came as slave ships, right? And when we look at what you want to say cargo ships, how do you account for the Europeans? There, we have several books we can look. You can look at the Barbary slaves. We can look at they were white and they came as slaves. Those are several books. So they came. They were at least 500,000. So how do we equate the differentiation from these Slavic peoples, Europeans that came as slave and is written down, is proven. You go to the Irish slave, you go to the Slavic slave, and then now, how do we then differentiate the time period, which Portuguese time period is 1400s? Remember, if we're talking Portuguese and Portuguese people, those do have Portuguese Moors, which we call black people. You had Spanish conquistadors like Estevinco. You had his family and other families that were known to be part of these said Portuguese or Spain that were also Jews too, but Moorish Jews, Moroccan Jews, right? You had these people that were exploring and knew the routes of these said areas, right? So 1400s, we have um, Portuguese, Spain defeating the Moors and putting them on ships and sending them different areas, right? We could go debate where that's going on, but within that number is low, and you could look up that number. That number is not even the 10,000s of who was like enslaved and were from these inquisitions. But when we go to the 1600s, we have a number that's affixed also to so-called white people, and now it's being affixed to be our people coming as slaves on ships. So I guess the question is, how do you differentiate when they're talking about a slave period pertaining to them, to then when they're talking about a slave period supposedly of our people looking like us that came South, Central, and North America. And there's over 100 million of people looking like me and you from North, South, Central America, because Portuguese is in where Portuguese they're operating in Brazil and the areas in the islands. So that would be where I'm landing at.
Wait, so I'm sorry, I just got confused. So the people was slaves, but not the black people, is what you're saying?
Right. No, no. So my standpoint is we're originally from the land, but so I'm
I
trying
know.
to.
Listen to me.
So
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 white
so,
people was
so
the slaves and black people wasn't. That's what you're saying.
no, I said white people were slaves and we weren't. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I know. That's what I'm asking. You're teaching us right now that white people was in slavery and us Negroes over here wasn't,
No,
and that Spain is in South America.
I said they're the ones that came on ships. We might have got enslaved on our land, but you know, that ship, like I said, there's several books you can read that account for over 500,000, as they were referenced, Christians and Europeans coming over here, and that's with each of these European empires. You know what I mean? So first is the conquistadors, they came. You know what I mean? And then you had slave people in the Spanish Empire and Portuguese that were pale skinned Christian slaves. You know what I mean? Hold on, I think my phone died.
Yavel, real quick. Yavel, real quick. This is the problem with that.
Madness.
This is the problem with what you're teaching us right now, and I agree with you to the extent of I do, because Israelites, we agree to that. There were our people that were over here before the white man came over here, right? We agree with that, right? But at the same time, we don't negate the fact that historically we were slaves, or some of our people were slaves and came over on slave ships. For you to say that that never happened, you would have to deny all the history from the west coast of Africa. You would have to deny
The
and go.
slave
Well,
ports
hold on.
over there.
Let me finish. Yeah, exactly. You would have to say the slave ports that you can go to Kumasi right now. I have a brother of mine that went to Kumasi, and he visited the slave ports. He traveled. He visited. You can take a trip to Kumasi right now and go visit, unless you're going to tell me that was all planned and they built that just for props to
And
trick
here's
us,
saying this
right?
is what I'm saying. You could go to any port and
No,
say
no. Listen to what I'm saying.
it's popular.
Listen to
You
what I'm
know,
saying. The
this is what I'm
people.
saying.
Wait, hold on, Yavel. Real quick, King. I'm talking about the. We're not talking about white men. We're talking about the people culturally that have never left the land. They personally give you the tour, King, and tell you, yes, this is where our people got taken from. This is now,
Salakia, brother
unless you're gonna
Rafik.
Hey,
say,
Dior,
yeah,
check
come
your
on, yield.
back chat.
Yeah.
But Morgan
Go ahead.
Freeman
Go
just
ahead,
did a
King.
whole special. Morgan Freeman just did a whole special when he went over to the west coast of Africa and went to every slave port over there and showed y'all
They
what
still
happened.
have the
Like, this is
blood. They still
madness.
have the blood stains. They still have the shackles. They still have the smell. So unless you're going to say,
All right, so look,
I mean, wait,
so
hold up,
this
real quick,
Hold
real
on
quick,
one
Yavel,
second, y'all.
real
Hold
quick.
on one second.
My
I want
bad.
to
I
make
just
an
want to,
announcement. I want to
go.
make an announcement.
Con, Salaki.
All right, I just got a back channel asking what happened to the chat. Uh, I said 90 seconds, 50 shares, chat will be open. So if you want the chat back open, I need y'all to get that number up. We at 38, so we ain't got that far to go. Continue on, fellas.
Con. So I'm gonna yield with this, Yavel. Basically, if I was to believe the narrative that you're saying, right, which I do believe halfly of what you say, I do believe that our people, some of our people were over here. The Bible agrees with that, right? When you read Second Ezra 13, it says our people came over into a land never mankind dwelt. So I agree with that narrative that you're painting, but I don't agree that it was a big ass. Excuse my language. There's no disrespect. It was a big ass hoax. When we can that for you to say that, you're saying that thousands of people in West Africa somehow got manipulated with their oral traditions that was passed down to them with the history of slavery. Somehow it was a big catastrophic. It would be equivalent to you telling me Men in Black, Will Smith flashed the button and
all
made
right,
them
but
all
this
remember
is
that.
what I'm saying. This is
Hey,
what I'm saying,
Dior,
right?
Dior, can you
This
hear
is
me?
what I'm saying, right? Like,
I
you
need you
know
to
what I
post
mean?
those articles.
Through periods of time, and those articles are not first sources. Those are not primary sources, right? So when I say to you, you can go to any harbor port, and because you just ports in the islands and any places that's called slave ports too, and that's not due to them bringing in slaves. That's due to the pirates enslaving people and selling them in those
So
areas. You know what I mean?
this
The Barbary. So, but here I'm saying, but
gotta
listen what I'm saying. This is what I'm laying. Just because you go
wait
to
a
an
second.
area and it's
You breaking
popularized
up, AD.
Okay.
that
You
they have
breaking up.
dungeons, there's dungeons and there's always been kings, there's always been servants, there's always been thieves, there's always been men that are treated in a way of might have been a prisoner of war. They had places of this ports that traded men. But when we're talking about slavery, we have an idea of the American slavery pictured in this transatlantic slave trade, which pictures men taking what per se thousands or millions of people from these areas. That's not true. But
All right,
like
but
I said, the practice of slavery existed since the beginning of time, and we
nobody's
started that.
disputing that.
That's
But
my
let's
thing.
Right.
unpack
So,
this.
Hey,
but
Hold
can
what
I
on.
I'm
get
saying
one of the
to you,
moderators to share my post? Like I just
But
sent
let's
that.
so what I'm saying to you, you can go to an area all around the world. They that's been going on forever. But you cannot show me the books, these ships. They don't have logs of the ships. They don't have the
Mod,
ships captains. You
please
can't
share
look
what
here. I'm
I
saying
just sent you.
I'm saying. Could you just give us those primary sources?
brother,
Because
brother,
then
brother,
it's
Now we
because
could do
Yavel,
that. We could
Yavel,
do
one
that.
moment.
We could do
One,
that.
brother.
one,
So I
one
want to.
moment, Yavel.
Can
Can
you
we
hear?
pass the mic to Cashley because he had a question? Go ahead, Cashley. It's on you.
Yeah, no, because the question I had, the only reason I came up is with everything you're saying, I want to know why is my Haitian culture so heavily African influenced?
He ain't got the answers.
That
you
question's
said
for
you
y'all,
said.
bro.
So this is what you're saying because original people share a sense of uniqueness about them, that your similarity, that's saying like Philippines, Japanese, Chinese, Manchurians, because of their line of going back to a similar descendants, they share similar culture. What do you not understand about that? That does not make sense. You play drums because drums are equipped to our hearts, right? And again, in this global empire, our empire is global. We ruled the world. We was not just one spot. We ruled the world. So in sharing, just like how the Latin became popularized in the Roman world, and Latin is a script form from the Egyptian sphere, the Egyptian empire, the Egyptian papyrus and manuscripts, the letter, right? So what I'm saying to you is our world has been going on so long. We have uniqueness that are unique to our culture, no matter where we're at, because that's just something unique to us culturally.
All right, brother, brother. This is not this hard. So all the countries in Africa that's apologizing for their hands in the transatlantic slave trade is lying now. Like this is madness.
Right.
All the records we got of all the European nations that had to send their navy to the west coast of Africa because they refused to stop selling our people into slavery after the Americans and British and all them banned it. Like this is madness what you're saying, brother. That's all I'm saying.
Right. When you talk, look,
All right,
you
so
hear
so
people
I
from Benin and people
I
from
wanted to.
Nigeria. They. It's not like they're talking about, oh, we were selling slaves
I
here and
mean,
there. No, they're talking specifically towards the transatlantic slave trade. I think what you're doing right now is a reach.
no, it's
Like
not a
I
reach, but
think that's
I'm a
using as a
Okay, so let's
denial.
do this.
but
Let's do this.
this is
Let's.
what I'm
Hey,
saying.
Rock.
Hi,
Wait, wait,
guys.
wait, wait.
One
Last
mic
Hi,
on
thing.
guys.
Raquel,
Hey, Rock.
please. One mic on
I
Hi.
just back
Raquel.
channeled
One
you
mic
some.
on Raquel.
Okay, who did you back channel,
I just
Malak?
back
Oh,
channeled
okay, you
you.
back
I just
channeled me.
back
All
channeled
right,
80s in New York. Can you
I
please
will,
post
I
that?
will, I will pin the link. Come on, guys. Let's
Let's keep the
relax.
peace and the decorum, y'all, because this is not about
And,
fighting or banging on each other. This is all
and
about
No, it
sorry,
us
ain't. It
bringing
ain't
each other
about a
together.
banging, right? But he's asking about slave ships, right? And why they're not here. Well, where are any of the ships that anybody used to come over here? Then, in
Poof,
that
look
case,
up top.
and sorry about that, Malak. Because if we don't follow you and you follow us, it goes to the backside and it doesn't give us a notification. So apologies.
Okay, so everyone
Sorry, I
breathe.
followed all the mods. I followed all of y'all.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's breathe.
Can I jump in?
Let's calm. Yeah, yes, you may. Just shortly. I just wanted to bring the energy back down a little bit. Let's calm down. We're all here to have a beautiful cultural exchange. It is okay.
In
When you
about
make your
10 minutes,
points,
Rock, can we post the other one? Sorry.
no problem. All right? Malak's link is on top. All right? Let's relax. Let's breathe. And let's calm down. Let's have a nice exchange. If you have something to say, instead of over speaking each other, put it in the chat. I want everyone's voices heard, but respectfully. Let's show decorum. We've been doing it for the past couple of days. I appreciate you all. I think it was on Alpha. If I may be. Alpha, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, you muted me.
Oh, I
But
didn't
the
mute
brother
you. If I
posted
did,
it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mute you.
No, no, it's no problem. It's no problem because I mean that's my place, right? But yeah. All I was saying was I think that it's like a reach, right? So like the brother was saying, like this is the first hand account from the people in those areas. Like, do we not take that under consideration? And if we don't take that under consideration, you have I would like for you to explain why they would collaborate with the hoax to trick us into believing we're slaves. Like, what is the gain of Nigeria, Benin, and these countries, Ghana? Like, what's the gain that they're going to get or
So
they've gotten to that to coinciding with that
So
story?
so so we should also understand that, prior to 1940s, Nigeria and those names in those areas of what we call Africa today didn't exist. But again, if we're going to start, those corporate states owe allegiance to a European power, as we know they all pay money to either France, Italy, or whatever. So even within their government and their issuance of their schooling system will be based on a colonial effect, if you really want to get down to it. But like I said, even within your article you just put there, they have pirate ships around the same time. They have corsair ships. So how do they differentiate a ship within this NPR? I don't know what type of primary sources that. But like I said, primary sources I'm going to give you. We have seven of the said republic states. Well, we know the United States of America, and these are called proclamations, right? So it says the office of the mayor, city of Chicago, right? Proclamation. I'm gonna read two for you, and these are like seven, right? Raheem Emanuel. Whereas the Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, Hammatites, and the Canaanites who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa and later form themselves kingdom, extended from the northwestern, southwestern shores of Africa, the Atlantic islands, onto the present-day continental Americas. Whereas the indigenous Moorish peoples of the Americas are now united in order to again link themselves with the family nation. Whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginal to the territories of the North, Central, South America, and we can read the rest of it, but that's you can look that up for. I'm gonna read the next one. This is the proclamation, Raheem Emanuel of Office of Mayor. Remember, just putting some primary sources from trustees positions that are applying these historical knowledge, so it doesn't feel like I'm telling
Hey, I
you
did.
this, right? So
Salakia,
we
bro, not to interrupt. I
so
didn't want you to
Yo,
think
yo,
that
yo,
that
Yavel.
I didn't want you to think that that was the primary source that I was
no, no,
giving
no.
you.
But I'm just saying to you that it's
Yavel, if
even
you
if
could,
there
if
have.
you could, if
So
you
the
could,
point,
because I
the
like
point, the
holding, I like holding things up to the light. So they provided a link
no,
what you're reading from
I definitely,
so we can read
listen,
along,
listen,
please.
listen. I said to you, just type. I could send
Yeah,
it to her. I could send it to her. Type within your Google the Moorish American Proclamation,
That's not a
Raheem.
Yavel,
source, man.
Yavel, Yavel, we're not running this room on your orders. Do not tell a moderator to listen. You have to stop
I wasn't
so
telling.
we can take control of. Can I finish? You have to let people finish. We have to keep
It's
order
all
in the
love. It's all
room.
love. It's all love. This is a
Send
touchy
him the
subject.
link so he can post it. That's the rules.
If I
Hold on.
could real quick, just so we know when we post the link, Rahm Emanuel is a politician. That's not a primary source. He's not neither historian, or archaeologist, or nothing. He's a politician. Just so you know,
Thanks
we're
for the
gonna post it
courtesy.
though. They're gonna post.
So this is a
All right, so
hold
could I finish or not? Because it's like
Nah,
I'm not
Yeah.
trying to
one mic
disrupt people.
on
I didn't
Aiden. We
even
get
know
right
that
back
was
to
a
you.
moderator that said that.
And
All
we get
right,
right back to
so
you, but it says one mic on Aiden.
so I can't help but reiterate that there was a question posed on the conspiracy theory that there are literally thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in Western Africa who claim to be direct descendants from the Israelites that were dispersed there. That is a firsthand account on a massive scale. And of course, anybody dealing with data knows that firsthand accounts, those are always the best sources. Have we disproven that? There was a question posed earlier. And I don't think it's any bigger red herring in the room. Thanks.
Hey, 80s boy, you be killing them, you hear me?
Anybody want to bat that?
They can't.
I like to let it breathe. All right. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate
That's why
that.
they glossed over it, 80s.
There's a lot of questions that ain't been
I'll
answered,
take
but
that.
I accept.
I'll take that on.
All right,
All
let's
right,
let's
so
let's
let's.
backtrack a little bit because I know Yavel was trying to speak. Did he send you the link?
I think he's in the process of doing it
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna send it a link now, but I was trying to end, but they won't let me end where I was
No,
trying
no,
to
no.
end. But
You
it's
know what?
cool.
I
I'll
I
listen
want you
back
to
in
end
the
because I don't again I want to keep this fair. I don't want people jumping over anyone's point. Yavel, you were speaking, so the floor is back on you.
just take a second, man, because I guess it's whatever. But like I said, the question of either we came from on ships, and I'm giving to you several states of the said United States of America with proclamations of our people being aboriginal to the said America. So now, how do you say these thousands of people that came on this ship from supposedly the area you're talking about? That is a conspiracy theory, right? So that's my main point of reading these proclamations, so you can see that this is not something I'm making up or making you have to believe that trusteeship position people in offices of our said governments and said states we're in, and and such putting the information out for you to read and understand it. So I'm gonna read. There's a second one. I'm gonna send this all to you so you can read this. And the
Hey,
second one is
hold
from.
on. Can you back up a little bit? Can you read the beginning? Because when you cited some of the nations that were mentioned in the Bible, it sounded like they were all Gentile, and I thought that was ironic. Can you
Ooh.
can you repeat those ones that they mentioned at the beginning when you started speaking from the document?
I love 80s,
Yeah,
man.
the Moabites, the Canaanites, and that
I
part.
just found that super ironic. Just run that back for me, please.
I love 80s, man. Why they always silent when you make a point, 80s?
I think he's still trying to get the link. I think he's
Yeah,
still trying
it's
to
my
get
late.
the link.
Don't worry.
If I could though, when it comes to, since we're doing scholarship and we're doing sources and stuff, I have to say that when we're doing sources, we also have to look at the background of the people who we're sourcing. And y'all just do some background on Rahm Emanuel. That's all I'm gonna say. That's not a good source. That politician from Chicago, man, and he's just, yeah, I'll leave it there.
This is crazy.
Well, and he's not a source, right? Because there would be someone who actually published the document. He probably espoused it and perhaps introduced it into the record, but that's not his document. I would beg.
You marry 80s?
Yeah, I want to know where his sources to get what he's saying, because somebody saying something isn't really proof, right? There has to be some kind of historical context behind that. But I'm thinking that whatever link he's going to provide is going to provide all that information.
And thanks, Yavelle, for being a good sport because it is a lot. But more than one thing can be true at the same time. So, and thank you, Raquel, for bringing a little clarity to the room and slowing it down.
You're welcome. Feminine energy. That's what I do.
And that's
You
real.
just make it look so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So who is it back on?
Oh, there was somebody in the chat. I think it was a dean. If you could please come to the stage. He or she said that they were from Western Africa and that there were many people that attested to the same. So I would love to hear from Dean Abbasi. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, please correct me.
You know, I do have a question. I know this is what we're going back and forth on to my beautiful Israelite brothers and sisters. If there were no, oh no, maybe that's more of a question for the Moors. All right, forget it. I'll ask it when I speak to the Moors.
And Dr. John, please come to the stage. We would love to hear from, academics. That's helpful as well.
If I
Yeah,
could, sorry.
how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? Because because you are pretty brutally mangling this idea of first person narratives and
So
sources.
please,
It's
sir.
not it's not how they're understood. The P We basically have three different terms when we talk about oral history and oral tradition. We have oral tradition, in which people make statements in their present time alleging that something occurred in the ancient past before there's any oral testimony that we can use to corroborate it. So, oral traditions often have a mythical element to them. Then you have oral testimony. Oral testimony is only good for typically 4 generations, from great grandparent to great grandchild. A great grandchild can be told something that a great grandparent saw, and that is oral testimony. But
What is he talking
that
about,
is
please?
because, let me finish. That's because I'm gonna run if I get a chance to. That's because this is something that was actually witnessed by someone. So a first person account is within that oral testimony realm. Something that happened allegedly happened in 70 CE. We know it didn't happen, but I can get into that. Something that allegedly happened in 70 CE is not a first person account. And then we have oral history. Oral history is when you collect all of the oral accounts from people in a particular area, as many as you can, and then you cross reference those for pieces of corroboration that exist in the statements they're making. So will reference people, times, places, cultural practices. The entire I do oral history, so I this part I know cold, and I've spent time in West Africa. So
Yeah, I agree.
I
I agree with you too. I just want to agree with you because I said the same thing you said earlier.
think
So
so.
thanks for
I'm sorry.
no, I was
I
saying
don't know what he.
to the
I can
stage.
keep going if you want me to, or you can.
Well, I want to. So with wonderful and brilliant men as yourself, sometimes I believe you take
Don't
for
butter me up. Just tell it
granted
how it is.
the wealth of knowledge that you have. Sometimes you got to slow it down and put it in plain language. Can you
Thank
summarize?
you.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm saying thank you because I ain't understand.
Right. Can you summarize all of that in 2 to 3 sentences in plain language?
No, this is the work that you all have to do on the learning side. I was very plain and clear about what I said. I said that oral tradition typically reaches back to a mythical time period. I'm just repeating myself. I said the oral testimony happens within 4 generations of a living person. And the oral history is combining all of the oral historical accounts, or as many as we can get from eyewitness testimonies, and then using those to corroborate what actually happened. Those are the 3 types of oral documents that exist in the world. So we know for a fact, for instance, that the farthest back oral history has ever been traced in any culture exists in East Africa, and it goes back 1,400 years. We don't have any evidence of the oral transmission of information across 2,000 years worth of time span. Now, I typed in the chat that, and I don't mean to be derogatory, so I'll just say, so a brother corrected me. So Hebrew Israelites have a mechanism challenge within their belief system. Now, the mechanism challenge is, I'm just going to lay out what it is. Basically, the person who writes this account of the alleged Hebrew Israelite exodus in 70 CE, he has his own problems with his documents. For starters, he alleged that millions of Hebrew Israelites, were sent to North Africa and that they then traversed the Sahara Desert. Now, the problem he has is that um, the numbers he claimed are basically a shorthand in ancient language writing for a whole lot of people. He didn't actually know how many people allegedly landed in North Africa and crossed the Sahara because A, he didn't see it himself, and B, the numbers were wildly out of step with the Roman census records. And you talk to any historian who studies this period, and they will say, if what he claimed were true, there would have been millions more people of Jewish slash Hebraic descent than there were men in the Roman Empire.
Can we
So
park there?
Yeah, please.
can we what?
So can we park there? Because it's a lot very quickly. Those historians, which historians could we look to from Rome to disprove what's being asserted here? I understand that there's an answer. Rome. Is that a historical account?
I'm sorry, you broke up on my end. What did you say?
I said, I understand that there's the Annals of Rome, which is the official history of Rome. Are there other historians
Look,
we should
just Google the Roman census records for the first century
go ahead?
CE, and you will find your answer.
Dr. John, can I
So,
ask you a question real quick? I don't want to stop you. I really enjoy this. You actually remind me of a brother of mine that we talk about this stuff all the time. So I just want to ask you a real question real quick.
shoot.
So since we're talking about the census, right? Let's say I walk with you on that. Let's say it wasn't 1 million people. Let's say it was 100,000 people. Does it still negate the fact that the historical event took place?
Well, yes, and we can get to. I'm going to get to why we know the historical event didn't
Okay,
take
cool. Because
place.
I know I hear
Now
you talking
let me
about.
just let me
Yeah,
just
no, no. I'm gonna let you
let
land.
me
I'm gonna
just
let you land. I hear you talking
okay
about the
okay
census,
okay.
but the census doesn't negate that the historical account didn't take place. So I want to hear what proof you have that it didn't take place, and I would love to see if it lines up with the historical events that I actually have to prove that it took place, i.e., dealing with the Roman history itself and different Caesars that took part in oppressing the Jews in that time period. But go ahead,
Well,
King.
this is what we call a non sequitur. You know, from a critical thinking logical fallacy standpoint. Did the Romans oppress Hebraic people? Yeah, but that doesn't prove that this event took place. And I want to get into this event. But let me just say, Josephus Flavius, depending on which translation you read, argues that there were between 2 million and 6 million Jews who allegedly crossed the Sahara. And the problem with that is that if you reduce the number, it becomes even more unlikely. Now, I'm just going, just let me run. I'll just tell you what we know from the historical record side. For one, the Sahara Desert is 1,500 miles from north to south. I don't know any elders that can walk 1,500 miles with no water, and there were not a lot of camels in North Africa or the Sahara in 70 CE. There certainly weren't enough camels to move 2 to 6 million people across one of the world's largest deserts. And on top of that, got to carry your own water. Everybody would have to haul their own water. And the Sahara isn't just, 1,200 to 1,500 miles from north to south. That's by straight line of sight. You got to walk around sand dunes and you have to travel between the oases. We don't have any records from any oasis stating that these millions of people cross the Sahara. We don't. Even when you look at camel caravans that cross the Sahara now, and even that crossed in ancient times, we don't find any kinds of numbers like that. But these people would have been walking. So when I say that the Hebrew Israelites have a mechanism problem from a historical standpoint, this is what I'm talking about. And the problem compounds itself because you also have to eat, and you also have to stop to bury your dead, and you also have to carry children with you. 40% of kids in the ancient world died before they reached majority or the age of 18. So if you reduce the number from 6 million or 2 million alleged Hebrews crossing the Sahara to 100,000, your chances go down dramatically for anybody making it into
I feel
West
like you
Africa.
have
I
to
haven't even I haven't
substantiate
even
some of them
gotten to the
Hold
claims,
on,
West
though.
Alpha. Hold on,
African.
Alpha. Let him land because I want to ask him another question. But
I
let him
haven't
land
even
real quick.
got to
Hey,
the West
Raquel, could you
African
put the
yet.
other article up? Thank you.
I will. And Dr. John, I did put the Roman census figures linked to the top. And after that, within 10 minutes, I will have Malak's other link. Thank you.
So the challenge then becomes, and then there are material cultural challenges to this argument too, because, you know, you're going to bury a lot of people crossing the Sahara, period. The fact that there's no evidence from the Oasis towns, and these towns had writing. We don't find any evidence of writing, about eyewitness accounts of these massive numbers of people. Then, if you just do the numbers, take 2 million people, figure out, maybe you can have 25 people in a caravan. Somebody got a calculator on their phone. I can't do while I'm talking, but you take 2 million people. Assume you could have 25 people at a time crossing the Sahara. One, you're going to have a guide because you can't cross the Sahara without a guide. So 25 people per caravan and divide that by 2 million people. How many crossings of the Sahara would have had to happen?
All
So
right, cool.
I want to jump in real quick.
Thank you, 80s.
Um, I receive everything that you're saying. However, I've heard nothing to disprove two things: what the historians from the time have stated, multiple, and number two, the people who said that they were descended from the people that
Yeah,
did
I'm getting
cross
to
the desert.
I'm getting to that. I know you
And
champing
so
that
I have
position,
one
but I'm
question to
getting
you.
to that.
Hold on. I have one question. Is the absence of evidence the evidence of absence?
It's just
Well,
80s real quick. Sister 80s real
this
quick. I'm gonna give it right back to you, Dr. John. You know what you doing in what you do
You broke up, please.
your
you broke
modern
up,
day
or he
conjecture
Start over.
Yeah, you got to
superimposing it.
start over, priest.
Priest, you have to start
Yeah.
over, darling. You
That's
kind of
all
you kind of
what Dr. John would do. Y'all hear me?
Hey, priest,
Priest.
priest, you breaking up, priest. You
Yeah.
gotta start over.
I'm breaking up? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Basically, just telling you just doing a lot of conjecture and ain't no evidence of anything you saying. That's basically what he's about to say.
right. And the problem that you have in this case, I'm saying a generic you. I'm not personalizing it. The problem that you have when you make this argument is that it is the quantum of evidence that arises in the form of a theory. It's not one or two individual pieces of alleged evidence that prove a theory. So you can claim it's conjecture all you want. It's a mechanism problem. People exist in a physical world that have physical laws and rules. How you gonna move 6 million people across a desert that's 1,500 miles long? You
80s,
have
I don't
to
think he
answer
understood
that
what you
question.
asked in 80s.
It doesn't happen magically. Now, to get to the sister's question, when people get, the group of people who are in West Africa who begin claiming that they have Hebraic ancestry only start doing that after Islam becomes much more powerful in the region and Muslims are telling their origin narrative and they are stating that they came from the East. So then we start to see specific African ethnic groups, and I'm not talking about the Limba because I could talk about the Limba all day. It's a whole different argument, and I could talk about them. When we're talking about West Africa, then we see ethnic groups in West Africa beginning to start making this argument, and they're making it as a maximization strategy for revenue generation in the trans-Saharan trade. And we see this in the records.
Brother,
So the challenge becomes okay, if Hebrew Israelites allegedly arrived in West Africa, what material cultural evidence do we have that they were there? These people were literate and they wrote. Do we see libraries? No, we don't. Do we see cemeteries? No, we don't. Do we see marriage rituals? No, we don't. Do we see culinary rituals and rites and social practices? No, we don't. Do we see initiatory rituals and practices? No, we don't. Do we see linguistic evidence from this time period? No, we don't. So when you start seeing it's the quantum of evidence that disproves a claim. This is not a theory, it's a claim. And the reason why scholarship has not followed this idea is because the quantum of evidence mitigates against it. And on top of that, then you look at the people who cross the
Excuse me,
Sahara.
Dr.
I
John,
mean,
for
oh my God,
clarity,
you
are you
wait,
saying
grandstanding.
I'm
there's
gonna
no
land here.
evidence of any
I'm
Come
gonna
Hebrew
on,
land
man, you
tradition in
grandstanding, man.
Africa?
I'm
I'm
gonna
just trying to
land
get
here.
clarity.
The people who crossed the Atlantic in the transatlantic slave trade, when they arrive in this hemisphere, do they claim that they're Hebrew Israelites? They
Yes,
don't.
they did.
No,
Yes,
they
they did.
don't. No, they
Yes, they
don't.
did.
No,
So
they
let's
don't.
pause. Wait a
No, they
second.
don't.
Right,
No,
I
they
right.
under,
don't.
hold
Pause.
on,
Right
hold
Hey,
there.
on.
Pause
I
right
just need a
there.
little clarity. Dr.
I
John,
just want wait a
are you
second,
saying
sir.
ultimately
Wait,
that
One mic on
there's
80s,
no
Hold on,
please.
hold on.
Hebrew?
Yeah, let 80s
I
go
want
real
to
quick.
say first, as an academic, I find it disturbing that these people are being referred to as Hebrew Israelites.
In the term
Secondly, let's
somebody used
breathe a
in the
little bit,
chat.
y'all. Let's,
Somebody
I'm
corrected
sorry,
me in the chat, and I prefer to use terms that people use
but you've
to
studied them,
describe
correct?
themselves. That's the only reason why I used it.
Yes, sir. So I just want to say, let's breathe a little bit, guys. It's all good. We're not going anywhere. So I want to be like Raquel. Just take a minute, collect ourselves. It's okay. Thank you.
So, Dr. John, I want to ask
I
one
would like to
question.
ask a question.
Wait a minute. A female has not gone yet. And Malak, I'm about to put your next link up.
Appreciate you. My
The
question
link that
was
I
for
just put, the
clarity. It
link.
wasn't not a. I didn't want to actually build. I just wanted the clarity.
Okay, what's your question,
I,
my dear? And I will do yours next, Yavel.
cool.
Go
Dr.
ahead.
John, I
Wait,
ultimately
hold on,
wanted to
hold on.
ask you:
This your
Are you
brother
saying?
Larry.
Are you
Hold
saying?
on, man. Mute up real quick. Mute up real quick. This your brother Larry real quick. Yeah, I know it's been a little while. We've been rocking for another 30 minutes, man. I think I've only had one share ever since like I called for the last shares, man. So we got 51. We had a whole 50 more people in. We got 150 people in here, man. So I'm thinking we should get at least we should think about 70 shares, man. I think 70 a good number. So let me get to
75, bro.
70. Laura, let's go to 75. 75 shares of the chat going up, man. It's back on y'all. Good conversation, man. Just keep it respectful, man. Keep it decorum. We having a good build. Y'all keep it going.
All right, so Dr. John, this is my clarifying question. Is he still here? Yeah, here you go. All right, so I want
I'm
to
still
know:
here.
Are you basically saying that is no type of practices of Hebrew, no traces of Hebrew culture in the continent of Africa? Is that what you're saying ultimately?
Not that can be traced to the time period you all are or the people alleging
What
this are. I
what
don't mean the
time
person.
period?
Not
Just so
to
I
the
could be clear.
not to the modern times.
So it's no
Mo-
traces of you would say it's no traces of Hebrew evidence, culture or evidence on the continent of Africa in the times of the transatlantic slave trade.
Mm, no, no. I mean, is there evidence of a small contingent of Jews moving from parts of southern Europe to a specific island off the coast
Dr.
of
John, you are
West
aware that
Central
we were
Africa?
in Egyptian captivity first, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but that doesn't make the traversal of the Sahara happen. So when you're talking about the continent, I'm localizing it to West and Central Africa, which is where our ancestors came from.
No, I'm saying you
So
told me you just now told me there was no practices or
come
evidence.
on, dude. I
There's
mean, like,
plenty of
no one.
evidence.
I'm not. Come on, brother. I'm not denying that there were, Hebrew people in Israel. I'm not denying that. What I'm talking about is specifically the West and Central African claims that people have made in this room. I'm only talking about that. I'm not denying that ancient historicity. Period. I'm not.
Well, you would have
That
to
doesn't put
establish
those
the.
people across the Sahara.
You would have to
All right,
establish
so
before, right? Before that time period, civilization. Before that, can you do that?
Sorry. Say
I
again.
said you
You
would
broke
have
up.
to substantiate civilization before that time period. Can you do that?
Wait. Can you be more detailed for me to help me? Where do you mean in West Africa,
Yes.
Central Africa,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in
Exactly.
Africa?
That's what I'm talking about. And if they
Okay,
had
okay.
culture, what was the name of them?
I'm sorry, were you asking
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, we don't see civilizations before this time period, and the real problems I've laid out, especially the architectural ones. The Israelites were builders. They were master builders. Matter of fact, so the fact that we don't see any architecture of theirs in West Africa is a problem. We don't see libraries, we don't see synagogues, we don't see
it
cemeteries.
wasn't no
We
Byzantine
don't
So
Empire on the west coast of Africa.
Timbuktu, the Mali Empire, these things didn't exist.
did Timbuktu and the Mali Empire not exist?
Yeah, I'm asking. Did they?
Those are
Yeah,
Muslim,
of course they existed.
They were
but those
prior
are
or
Muslim
after this
empires.
time period?
From Muslim empires, though. When you say Mali, Songhai, and those are Muslim.
Right.
Those are
Okay,
Muslim.
so
You might
there's.
messing up,
Hold
Yavel.
on, everyone on mute for a second. There's some weird staticky thing going on. I don't know who that is. So it's very important for one person to be speaking at the same time. Let's not all jump down someone's throat. Yavel was speaking, so Yavel, it's on you. So I'm hearing like weird static.
Is it for me? Do you still hear it?
No, I don't hear it anymore.
Okay. I don't know if the doctor was agreeing with this transatlantic slave trade, but if we're going to go back to the period of Egypt when Moses, we know Moses got the monotheistic principles from Joseph that became the high priest of Egypt. So we know these are not happening in where we're thinking the place Israel is today. Like just like the brother Dr. John said, the architectural or living historic proof. And and testaments to these peoples. Just like when you see a pyramid, it's a testament of the same science that are applied by and is applied to a certain civilization, right? So when we look that the first Jews that left America, because remember in these periods of time we were mostly a closer knit empire known as Egypt, and just be along. So the first Jews during the Phoenicians voyages, they went to Europe, and these Jews, right? I'm just saying that those were the first ones that left, areas of Egypt and went to into Europe. Those are the first, peoples that Jews. The Romans became had Jews. All those things, right? So when we're talking about Jewish, though, Jewish being a nationality is not. That's not a nationality. We should understand that, right?
Wait. I'm glad you said that
Within
because the term Jewish is not a
Yeah,
nationality.
we don't recognize that.
Israelite is a nationality.
that's not a
Yeah, yeah.
nationality.
Let him
That's not a nationality. But
real quick. I don't want to change the topic because I really, 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 really want to
I'm
respond to
gonna
Dr.
land real
John.
quick. I'm gonna just land
Yeah.
it. So I was getting my point, but
Go ahead.
the point is the fact that Dr. John said the architectural advancements of these people would be shown. So when you look at America, right, down to South America. This is what I was trying to tell you about a history dealing with America being part of this older civilization. You will find these histories and sciences and architectural evidence. The original tribes of Americas were known to have Hebrew languages and Semitic languages, and you can look these up. Indigenous tribes, the writings in the pyramids. So all these evidence that exists in America being the oldest. So it's really befuddled me for people to think they brought our peoples on ships when our empire, we ran the world. So that's why I was trying to see where these ships come in that tell you we come from some other landmass and came like sardines. And
I
that was
think you
my
changing the
Hold on, real
subject
quick,
though,
real
right?
quick,
That's
real
not
quick.
what we were talking
Hey,
about.
Raquel,
Yavel,
1 second.
one
Go
Hey,
mic,
ahead,
one
priest. Go
second,
ahead, priest.
Raquel.
Yavel.
No,
Hold
I
on,
figured it
Yavel,
out where the
Yavel.
sound is coming from. Hey, Raquel, I figured out where the sound is coming from. For some reason, I'm not interjecting. I'm just letting you know. For some reason, when Yahweh talks and somebody comes off mic, that's when you hear it. That's what I was seeing.
Oh, okay, understood. Thank you
I
so
wanted
much,
to
priest.
tell
Shalom
everyone
to that.
Yavel's source is pinned on top.
And I have a question.
Thank you so much. And hold on, 80s guys, we need to get 20 more shares in order to turn the chat on. We're not asking for any money. We don't have our cash apps pinned up. We're just asking to share this room so we can enlighten our people on different points of views. So please share the room, ping them in there, and let's have a beautiful cultural exchange. It's free, guys. Pretty please. Thank you. It's back on you guys.
I really wanted to.
Hold on. A's, my bad, brother. A's was trying to
Salakia.
say
Oh,
something.
Salakia, sis.
Peace and blessings,
So,
brother.
so as the doctor was speaking, I was thinking about what he said about the Roman census, and that he did not believe that that many people moved at once. Have we looked at the accuracy of the census? And two, uh, if the census is not correct, I didn't hear you consider that there were smaller amounts that might have made the move. So I just wanted to ask about that. Thanks.
Yeah. So I appreciate your question. The census records the Romans kept were highly accurate. But there are plenty. If any of you don't have a JSTOR account, you can get a JSTOR account for free, and you can read up to 100 articles a month online in digital format on your phones or tablets or other devices. So I highly recommend it. You just need to go to JSTOR and Google in the search bar Roman census records, and you can even Google accuracy of Roman census records. You'll find a lot of discussion by historians about the accuracy of the records. The Romans were
Were
pretty
there
hyper.
any accounts used to verify those numbers though? Or did we just go off the board?
You go read. Well, the art. I don't want to be high overly aggressive. I'll just say historians walk through their process for verifying those records. But at the end of the day, the Roman legions and the Senate were deeply dependent on the kinds of taxes the Romans could collect. And we have really good records about that because the Romans were a hyper literate society. So the historians walk through what the argumentation is. Sometimes when we hear an argument, we want to ask questions about, and they're legitimate questions about, well, are these, the bases for our conclusions, are they legitimately derived? And so I would leave that to you all to go research what historians have written and thought about Roman census records. But my assessment, the assessment of other historians I know, is that those records were very accurate. Now, to your second question, could smaller people have moved? I mean, no one's denying the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, for instance, historically. There are no people making an argument that that didn't happen. But what we do know is that, you know, basically North Africa was a province of the Roman Empire. So when people moved into, that province, they were counted at some point. But a deeper problem that is raised by this migration claim is that when people migrate across a vast distance, if they're not reinforced by the people who have the same cultural practices they have, then their practices are going to diverge over time and their language is going to diverge. It's just a fun foundational aspect of human interaction. So we just don't see that. We don't see massive loan words loaned into West African or Central African societies and languages. We just don't see that. But all people share loan words. You
Can
go
I
to Mexico.
can I please answer to what Dr. John said, moderators? Is that okay? Okay,
Please.
because I've been listening very patiently. So, um, first thing we have to do when we're listening to discussions like this, don't pay attention to the verbiage. Pay attention to what's being said. Notice how he's not saying, because if he was to say this outright, it would be foolish, seeing that it wouldn't be factual that 70 AD actually transpired and took place. So he's not attacking that it didn't happen, which he just said. He's attacking numbers of how many people would happen to.
No,
That
that's
doesn't, hold
not
on, let me,
true.
Dr. John, let me finish, because you spoke a lot, and I'm going off. You just said it. You said I'm not denying that it didn't
No,
happen.
wait. What is
You
the
just
it
said,
you're referring
hold on,
to?
Dr. John.
I'm
See,
calm.
why is it
Listen,
that,
brother, I'm
hold,
calm. I'm just asking
but
you to
why you can
clarify
I
what you mean
land?
by
Look, I'm
Please
gonna
let him
clarify.
land, Dr. John. You have your
See what
moment.
happens is let's control our mic. I controlled it for a long time, and I politely asked the moderators to speak. So, for me listening to you and what you just said, you're not negating that 70 AD didn't take place. If you were to do that, that would be uh, incorrect or not right for you to do so, because we have historical references that prove it happened. You can look up the Roman emperor Vespasian and Titus, just those two, and you could see the wars that took place with the Jews in that land at the time, right? You can also see, like you even said, that the temple, I'm not saying the temple was not destroyed. You even said this, and you even said there's no historians that say that it didn't transpire. But what you did was you attacked how many people it happened to. So that's like saying I'm explaining to Yavel there was a fight after school, and I told Yavel, damn, it was like 100 people outside. But it might have not been 100 people. It could have been 85. That does not take from the point that it happened. Two, another thing. So I want people to listen. Don't listen to the verbiage that's been spoken. Because, like I said, I know a lot of people like Dr. John, no disrespect, very wise, very smart. But listen to what is being said. So he did not negate that 70 AD didn't happen. Now, let me read this real quick. This is, he said that there's no proof of Israelites or Hebrews being in the Sahara, or he can correct me if I'm wrong, that there's no proof of them being in the Sahara or in West Africa. That is a lie. He brought up the history dealing with, well, he kind of mentioned, he didn't go too deep into it, but he brought up Islam. It's a historical fact that Islam was started based off the heavy Jewish population in the
Mm-mm.
Sahara that Prophet Muhammad recognized and was influenced by and created his religion. So for you to say there is no influence of Jewish people in these areas, well, then that is to say there will be no Islam because you do the research on how Islam started. Islam was started off of the basis of being influenced by Judaism. This is why they have Ramadan and we have atonement. This is why they pray towards Mecca and we pray towards Jerusalem. There's a lot of other more parallels that Prophet Muhammad interjected into his religion and sought to convert the Jewish population around him at the time and persecuted them because they did not convert. And this is historical fact. So for you to speak incorrectly on unless you're because you spoke towards Islam. So unless you want to say that that's historically incorrect to how Islam started, then we could go there and that would be another topic. But you mentioned that and I want to say that. Now I want to read this and then I'm gonna land and I'm done. This is from Babylon. I mean, not from Babylon Timbuktu. This is Hebrewisms of West Africa, page 243. Because one thing he said, which I agree with, is that to verify any historical event, we have to cross-reference. I have a lot to cross-reference to prove we were in West Africa, but I'm going to just get two sources. I'm going to get Hebrewisms of West Africa, and then I'm going to get encyclopedia.com, okay? And those are the two that I'm gonna yield with to disprove him. This is from Babylon. This is Hebrewisms of West Africa, page 243. It says the ruins of ancient Jewish cities in the Sahara and the Sudan and the documentary evidence of Hebrew inscriptions like those of Tuat, which date from the 13th and the 14th centuries. I'm going to stop there. I could keep going, but I'm going to stop there. Now I'm going to look up the inscription of Tuat in encyclopedia.com. Tuat, all right? It is an oasis, all right? I'm going to get to the point. Tuat's center was Taminit, the Jewish town. Traditions reported by Arab historians fix the arrival of the first Jews as early as 5 CE and in large number in the years of Elephant, right? 570, which coincide with the foundations of settlements in the oasis. Hebrew inscriptions dating from 1329 were discovered there. It says artisans' wells there are attributed to the Jews who planted palm groves and built fortified villages. All right. It says this took place in the end of the 14th century. Was sent to Tawat Viva Honan, the important port of the Benai Zion. The Jews were largely landowners, farmers, and warriors and lived in peace until 1437 when they were besieged for 4 months. They were rescued by friendly Muslims. The nomads invaded their wealth. The Jewish traders from Tuwat controlled gold traffic and preached Al Magi, who had been expelled from Fez. All right, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I could keep going. I can bring out more historical proof. This is, and I can send this to anybody who wants it. This is encyclopedia.com. All you got to do is look up Tuat, which is Tuat, and the page number that I referenced was Hebrewisms of West Africa, page 243, and you can go and verify all this history. And there's more, but I'm not going to take the time. But everything you said was very well stated, but it was inaccurately put. You did not disprove that 70 AD did not happen. And you were wrong. You might not know on the history that stretches back to biblical times of the Jews in the Sahara and the Sudan. But I'll land.
Do
Hey,
you
let
want
me
me to
bring it back
respond to
and let me.
that? Do you
Yes,
want?
Dr. John, you can respond. Let me just do a light reset.
Sure.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Cloud9 Music Group. If you would like to join the conversation, this conversation is only for club members only. They're the ones that are allowed to join the stage. So if you want to join the stage, please click the greenhouse, follow, click that little greenhouse, follow the room, become a member, refresh your page, and then raise your hand, and we'll be more than happy to bring you up. This has been going back and forth, and we've been getting a wealth of knowledge. We were asking Israelites, why are black people not considered black? We have 75 shares, so the chat is on. Thank you very much for that. Thank you to whoever's sharing the clips. We appreciate you. Remember, guys, this is a cultural exchange. This is not supposed to be a fight. We're all going to be respectful. We've been learning a lot from different aisles of the spectrum. For the most part, we have some Moors here, Assalamu alaikum, and we have some Israelites here, Shalom and Shabbat Shalom for your past Sabbath. So, with that being said, Dr. John, you may most definitely respond. It is on you.
Thank you. So I think it is important to keep in mind that when we evaluate scholarship in a modern era, we ask particular questions. So one of the questions, a series of questions that we pose is, who's authoring a work and what expertise do they have to lend to the interpretation of the work? I mean, I could easily brush aside encyclopedia.com just because it's encyclopedia.com. That's not a historically accurate source. In terms of the author of Hebrewisms in West Africa, the question becomes, did he speak Hebrew as a language? Did he travel to the regions that he's making statements about? Did he analyze these pieces of documentation that he alleges himself? Did other scholars corroborate the interpretations that he presents? And so those are all important questions. In addition, any work published in the 1930s, actually any work published between the end of the 19th century and the 1960s, basically falls under the rubric of the colonial production of knowledge. And that raises a bunch of questions about the legitimacy of sources, et cetera. So the fact that Hebrewisms of West Africa is published in 1930 means, just by me knowing what the date is, that the work has problems. It also is important to keep in mind that Western intellectuals had a pretty strident anti Semitism, and they were trying to link that to their views of white supremacy and the denigration of African descended people, both in continental Europe and in the United States. So when you pull out these sources, it tells me a lot about what types of information you have access to and what degree of authority you're willing to lend them in the absence of thinking about these problematic uses of knowledge in the colonial period. Because Europeans were intent on brutalizing people of African descent in order to produce content. The other thing that I noticed that was really striking was, I was trying to ask you to clarify what you meant by it. Yes, yes. Someone's in the matrix, or I am.
Hey, hey, Dr.
Okay,
John,
thank.
real quick, I was
Stop interrupting them, please.
The other thing I wanted to say is that, because I'm trying to keep my train of thought now, but the other thing I want to say is that, I really was pushing for a point of clarification about, what you meant when you claimed I said 70 CE didn't happen. I didn't say 70 CE didn't happen. I said we know the
No,
destruction
I
of
didn't.
the.
I didn't say that. I didn't say you
Yes,
said that it
listen,
didn't
listen,
happen.
listen.
I'm just clarifying. I didn't say you said it didn't happen. I said that you can't say it didn't happen. There's no historical references that it didn't happen. So I
But the
said the
it,
opposite
listen,
of what
listen,
you said.
listen, brother, listen. The it is in your question or your statement, the word it is the one that I'm focusing on, because the it
Oh
could have been
Lord.
interpreted to the room to mean that the migration of these alleged peoples across the Sahara happened. And we don't have evidence that happened. The it that I was referring to is the destruction
I
of the.
agree with
We
you.
know that
Yes,
we
that's what
know
I said, King. You didn't listen.
we know.
I didn't say that you said that the event of
I
the
agree with
70. Okay, so what are you talking about?
I
You
agree
said that
with you that you didn't say it. My
oh
point is not
Lord.
about what you actually said. My point is about the implication of what you said. We don't have evidence that these people allegedly crossed the Sahara. And there's just so much material cultural evidence that needs to show up. Now, the last thing I'll say is that in the source that you did read, like, do we know that there are small Jewish settlements in the Sahara in the Middle Ages? Yes.
You
But the
said there was
key,
none.
listen, but the key is that they're small, right? And that smallness is really important. And we know that they were heavily influenced by what was happening on the very edge of the Mediterranean in North Africa. So that's important for
Can
you
I
to
please?
stress.
If
Sorry,
Roger,
moderators. Can I
Roger,
please?
John,
because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Roger.
Go ahead, priest. Go ahead, priest.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
yielding.
like two
I'm yielding.
seconds. I promise, two
Con.
seconds. See, this is one of the problems that we have with academia. And I'm gonna bounce the ball right to Roger Songs. I really don't want to notice. I just want the people in the room to notice. Ratazan gave two sources, both of which Dr. John, with all due respect, impeached. Right, in his own opinion, he so-called impeached the sources, but presented no sources of his own. I hope y'all know that. Dr. John, with all due
I've
respect,
sent
has given us
sources to the I've
no.
sent sources to
Okay,
the
well,
room
cool. Well, we
mod.
haven't seen
I
him yet.
sent sources
Um,
to the room mod.
so far, what we've gotten from the good doctor is word salad, which is great. You know what I'm saying, if you want to diet, word salad is great. But we've gotten no sources, and now you even admit first you did say, and I'm gonna pass it to Barata right now. You did say there was no proof of them in the Sahara. Now you kind of backtracking and saying, okay, well there
Oh,
is, but it's small. Yeah,
it's
that's a problem, doctor. That's a
No,
problem. Go ahead,
in
Rata.
the date, in the
oh,
dates that
it's
we are talking about,
oh,
you
oh.
are making a
Sister
claim.
E80s is trying to
Hey,
speak.
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. One second, one second, one second. One mic on
So
Also,
A.
you're in the
When y'all see,
matrix.
hold
what,
on, one mic, one mic. When y'all see 80s trying to speak, allow her to speak, please.
Dr. John? What mods did you send your sources to? Because we want to talk about them.
I sent
That's all.
I think he did send it to me.
Okay,
I'm so sorry about that.
I just want to bring it out. Thank you.
It.
so.
Yes, I will put it
Hold
up.
on, real
Thank
quick. I want to hold on, real quick. So real quick. I think he did send a source, and that was dealing with the census in Rome, which we did bring that out. But that goes back to my point.
No,
He
I didn't
never brought
send
out
that.
a.
I didn't send that
Or
source.
okay. Well, so Lockie, if that's not what you sent, I thought you sent that. But let me just clarify something. So because I listen to what you say, I don't just listen to the words you use. I'm not impressed by the verbiage. I listen to what you say. So at first you said there was no there's no evidence of Jews being in the Sahara. Now you're saying, again, with the amount of people, well, I'm not going to say that there's no evidence, but it couldn't have been a big city, right? Just like you said, I'm not saying 70 AD didn't happen, but what I'm saying is the amount or the number of individuals involved, it couldn't have happened that way.
I mean,
the, the
I
problem,
get.
hold on, let me finish. I'm gonna let you finish. Hold on. You proceeded to say, and this is the problem with no disrespect to you, people such as yourself. Your sources are right. You can you because you even recently mentioned Google earlier. So your sources are okay and right. But as soon as somebody else brings out a source, instead of you scrutinizing it, because I know you didn't know about the city of Tuat. I know you didn't know about that. Because if you knew
I
about that,
did
wait, hold on.
actually.
Let
I'm
me let
I'm
me
trying
wait,
to
hold
answer.
on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Because if you did know about that, you wouldn't have said earlier there was no proof of Jews in the Sahara. You that wouldn't have came out your mouth. You would have said there's a small city. If you want to say it's small, I'm gonna walk with you on that just to play devil's advocate with you. There's a small city named Tuat, but there's no other sources or no other historical proof that there were Jewish cities in the Sahara. So now you're gonna change your whole narrative of what
No,
you
I
were
didn't.
speaking to. Hold on, listen. Let me finish. So
Yeah,
now
but
you're wait. I'm
you're
about to
making an
land. Wait, hold
incorrect
on.
statement here.
I'm about to land because you just said it. Hold on, I'm about to land and I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to ruin the moment. And this is no attack on you, King. This is just an attack on scholarship. So it's not personal, right? I'm not taking none of this personal. So here's my thing. Anybody, I just put the information on as my profile pic, so you guys can refresh and you guys can go research Tuat. That's just one city. I have more I can bring out, but I just brought that one out. Go research for yourself, chat, room, whoever, and you verify and other sources that link to Tawat, and you see if what Dr. John said was right, historically correct or not, right? Before you downplay a source, research the information that's attributed to the source, because regardless of what you said, or what you say after, you say it out of your own mouth. There's no historical proof that there were Jews in the
Can you
Sahara. I
land so
land.
I can respond to you?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, because I was referring to a very specific time frame. And this is the thing that happens in these debates. People want to make claims and then extend them across all of known time. I wasn't doing that. I was very specific. I said there were no Jewish settlements or people in the Sahara in 70 CE. I was very specific. And I then went on to say that we see the emergence of these accounts, which I sent a source to the mods about, or at least one mod to, about these emerging as counter narratives as Islam enters the Sahara and becomes a force. These are not the same time frames. If you want to talk about there being Jewish presence in the 1450s, for instance, in the Sahara, that's a different time frame than 70 CE. That's a 1400-year time span. As historians, what we look for is evidence of the continual presence and transmission of knowledge, historical traditions, oral testimony. We don't make these leaps. So what's happening here is you're trying to attribute it to me like I'm flip-flopping, but that's not what happened in this
No,
conversation.
Dr. John, that's
I
not
was
true
very
because I literally
specific.
clarified the time frame with you, just
Stop
to be honest.
interrupting
I
him.
was very specific.
Hey,
Very
hold on,
specific.
hold on, man. It's your brother Larry, bro. Hey, bro, we gonna give Dr. John some grace. Dr. John, this link that you share with Raquel, I hope you was here, listening to Brother Radazan. Not only did he give us his links, but he read off of the links and gave his evidence in a very scholarly fashion. I would hope that you could do the same thing for us so we can continue the conversation and stop all of these roundabouts, man. I just feel like y'all just beating up on the man. So yeah, Dr. John, if you could just read off whatever you posted to Raquel, read it off for the room that actually backs up what you're saying, then we could just get back to the conversation. Or you could just go back on mute and we could we can get off of this shit, man, because this shit just getting crazy at this point.
I feel you. Look, if you I'll just read the name of the source.
Nah,
It's an
brother.
extended
Hey,
article.
nah, you're not gonna read the
Listen,
name of the
so
source. This is your
what?
brother.
Listen, do
This
you?
is your brother Larry. Mute up. You're not gonna read the name of the source. Go to the segment of the source that
I'm
backs up
not
your
in a position
claim.
to do that right now,
Well,
brother.
well, 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 go on
Yeah.
mute and let's move on with the conversation, brother. Come on, man. Just stay on mute. Let's keep it going, man.
If
Rock,
that's your
reset the room.
pleasure, peace and blessings.
Can I say a word? I was brought onto the
I
stage.
wanted to add something real quick about the source, okay? Because I'm looking at it now, and this talks about the Hermetic hypothesis.
Bingo.
Hold on, we would not be talking about Hermetic. We would be talking about Shemitic. So is the Hermetic going to reference the Shemitic people?
Oh man.
You are welcome to read the source. It explains
Thank you,
it.
sir.
That's
Can
totally
I say,
irresponsible, man.
Okay, all right. Remember, guys, one, this is not a debate. This is a cultural exchange.
can may I say
Yeah, yes, you may just one moment. I promise I will. I'm not a talker, I'm a listener. So I promise I'll let you guys have it.
And thanks for that website. That's very helpful for the academic papers. Thank you.
And I have to give the other one that he posted because, as he has said, it seems like he's driving. He is not in a position to read the source. So it is our jobs as mods to make sure that it's available to everyone. So let's take a minute, let's breathe. Remember cultural exchange. Okay? Ay Dios. Sorry, guys, give me a second. So this is the second site that he has, the second source that he has cited. All right, let's breathe. Dean, it is on you.
okay? Peace and blessings to everyone in the room. Continued praises and veneration to our benevolent ancestors, and all praises to the Most High. May our benevolent ancestors continue to be pleased with us. First and foremost, I'd like to give my gratitude to Dr. John. It's obvious you're in hostile territory for the most part. I appreciate your disposition, your scholarship, tolerance, and patience. I would implore you to open your own room and go through it nauseum what you have to say without interruption. Um, number two, I am I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I don't subscribe to the Bible. No Abrahamic traditions. I'm first generation, born in the states of Akan, parents of Ashanti lineage. My mother and my father is Yoruba. I just want to rebuff this sort of sweeping claim that of Hebrew Israelism in West Africa. I know someone talked about the Igbo. Those are neighboring tribe with us, the Yoruba in Nigeria. Their traditional spirituality is Odinani, right? Their oracle is Afa, which is Ifa, which they got from the Yoruba, which we call Ifa. This is their tradition. They have their indigenous tradition of their tribe. It is not Abrahamic in any fashion. Now, when we talk about Ashanti, um, I'm an initiated priest. I'm an Akumfo, all right? We deal with the Abosun. Our creator is Nyame. He has other appellations. We are not Abrahamic in any degree, right? So I understand for whatever broader narrative you want to paint, you want to impose these things on these traditions. This is not the case. Again, I'm initiated in Ghana in my own
Hey, I'm
spiritual
sorry.
tradition.
What does this have to do with why are black people not black?
You seem to lack all temperament. You were interrupting Dr. John without cause, so please don't do the same to me. Again, so I just, from the discourse I've heard going on, I'm not here to debate people on their religion or tradition or identity. You want to consider yourself Hebrew Israelite or Hebrew, I don't even know the proper designation. My apologies for the ignorance. But to make this claim that it was some significant presence or the identity of West African tribes or Central African, I think that lacks all sort of legitimacy. And again, Dr. John, thank you. I implore you to open your room on the subject, and thank you for having me.
So give the point of disarray, right? So because the Jewish communities and writings influenced the world, so all writing systems became popularized based on that. So when they say Hebrew writings, you know Hebrew equals to also Arabic and Aramaic. It's not just just a Hebrew language. It's just languages that are part of the sphere. So languages were popularized and culturally advanced by the Jewish people. So you would find languages that have a Jewish temperament or from the peoples that popularized it. Because like the doctor said, they're the ones that started the schools, universities. They built irrigations. They you know what I mean, the system of governments. Greeks heavily had Jewish people there. You know what I mean? Greeks, some of the Greek philosophers too. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's what the disarray is. And the Hebrew Israelite custom, what the brother is saying in Central Africa, like the brothers, I can't say his name right now, but Radazan, right? He's right because again, Muhammad's grandmother was say from that Jewish ancestry, so, but for you to say Jewish people resided in Central and South Africa, and that's like a custom, and that's like a natural thing that they just always was there, and then they came from there, is not true. But you can find the extent of the Jewish sphere of learning, writing, and in science and stuff like that.
But it's interesting though that people in the diaspora, such as yourself, Yavel, and Dean, say that. But we have testimonies from people that are in
Yeah,
Ghana that are
right.
Ashanti that are saying different than y'all saying. See, y'all speaking as though every
I'm
Ashanti and
American.
every
I'm
person
American.
from Ghana agrees with y'all.
I'm American.
No, but okay. Well, I'm just saying in general. You guys are speaking in broad generalizations, especially Dean, broad generalizations. But there's testimonies of people all over YouTube. You can just go Google it, of Ashanti people saying that they come from Israel. You don't speak for all Ashanti people, Dean. I'm so sorry to tell you that.
Yeah.
Are you?
So hold
Well,
on.
And I
and
have a and I
Can
have
I
a
add
oh
oh,
one
Salaki.
more,
oh, real
one
quick.
quick?
I just want one moment, Dean. I just want to point out, isn't that an oral tradition that he's talking about? Are his oral sources and direct observations question other people?
Are we holding them to the same standard?
Right. And then
So
another
if
thing,
I
I
could
have a
respond,
yeah,
hold on,
I'm gonna
Roger.
let you go. Hold on, let me just say this because you
You've
hold
been
on.
talking a
There's
bit.
there's
Hey,
also I also know people personally who are from Nigeria, West Africa, who I can ping in this room that will agree and say, yes, we have Jewish descent. And they're from Africa. I have a sister, her name is Che, and she's on this app that I can ping her in this room, and she's from Nigeria. And she will tell you, yes, my people from the Igbo tribe, we descend from Jewish descent. So you're going to say she's a lie? She's lying or she's lost or somehow misinformed?
so with all due respect, hold on, real fast.
Okay, so let Dean go. Remember, guys, bring it down. And then I want to make a comment after Yavel.
All
So,
right,
Dean, it is on you.
with all due respect, I'm from Africa, bro. So whoever you want to appeal to, I appreciate. But all I'm telling you is, you can Google this. The tradition of the Igbo is Odinani. Their oracle is Afa. They get this from the Yoruba. So there are people in that are Yoruba, that are Igbo, that are Ashanti. They claim, like the doctor said, they claim they come from Mecca. So people make all sort of scant claims. You can get certain testimony from certain individuals of any tribe. I think you all are the ones making the generalizations when you sort of superimpose the testimony of a handful of people from a certain tribe and say, well, and again, I understand it fits your narrative, so it's convenient, but that's not the case. I was in Ghana twice last year. I'm initiated in the tradition. Google Akumfa, Google the Abosun. I'm a priest of Nana Tigre and Nana Asojibi. I mean, we can get into it. This is the tradition. And guess what? They're older than, with all due respect, your Abraham and so forth. So if we want to bring it out, that's a whole nother uh, discourse we can have. So
Can we
I
park
just
there
think,
real quick? Dr. John, how would we evaluate what Dean is saying since that's oral as well? Like you were talking about the verbal documents or something earlier?
Oh, oral tradition, oral history, oral testimony. I mean, we can look at the earliest travelers who were not born in this region and what they wrote and recorded to verify that what Dean's saying is true. So this is when we use those other source materials for corroboration. And then, we don't just have to use outsider sources for corroboration. We can use internal sources that were collected from other ethnic groups around the Igbo, for instance, in, the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries, and they verify that too. So we have multiple
My
levels
only
of
question
corroboration.
is, are we gonna use those sources in
oh,
here?
and one,
But here's the thing, right? So Dean made a statement about it being a handful of people. It's not a handful of people. It's tens of thousands of people. You don't know everybody in Ghana, brother. And you don't know every Ashanti either. Like you're making these broad, sweeping generalizations, and that's not what you do in scholarship. You and I both know there's tens of thousands of people in Ghana in the Ashanti tradition that say that they're Jews. You know this. So I don't know why you come in this room lying right now, making it seem like it's you know what a handful of people is, like 10, 20, 30, 50, 100. It's way more than that. So I don't understand why you guys are coming on the stage being deceptive and acting like these traditions don't exist. These oral traditions don't exist in Ghana. I'm not talking about Nigeria. I'm not talking about Igbo, and I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about in Ghana. That's what I'm telling you.
all right, so again,
Even the name itself, Ashan. Ashan is, oh, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
all I would say is, and I think as I observe things, there's I'll just say we see how the argument is set up. We have people asserting that the Ashanti are Hebrew, right? We have people asserting that the Igbo are Hebrew. I would just invite the chat to vigorously research this objectively. In fact, I'd invite you to go to Ghana, talk to the Ashanti kings, look at their oral tradition. Their kingship is older than 2,000 years or however old sort of this tradition they're speaking of. I just invite look at the golden stool, look at a Kumfu and Noche. Just go to Ghana if you're really genuinely curious. I think to Dr. John's point, you all were appealing to firsthand accounts, firsthand sourcing, right? Go and investigate this on your own. That's all. I mean, again, I'm not going to argue people's religion, but it is absurd to make the claim that the Ashantis are Hebrew.
No,
You have
what is,
okay,
wait,
hold on,
Malak,
hold
one
on, hold
second.
on,
Nobody, Malak, one second.
hold on.
Nobody's, no, none of us are arguing anything.
I didn't interrupt you,
I'm
please,
simply
with all
turning
due
on,
respect,
hey, Dean, hold on one second. Hold on one second, bro. It's cool.
but I
I'm
didn't
not arguing
interrupt.
anything because, Dean, one second. We're not arguing anything. What I do is I have an app on my phone that I downloaded called YouTube, and it's one on my computer too. I just go on there and I type in Israelites in Ghana and I listen to the testimonies of the chiefs and everything that are in Ghana telling you this stuff. See, what you want the audience to believe is that we're saying it. We're not saying anything. This is their testimony, their oral tradition, their oral testimony that they are telling you
If you're
that
not
they are
sourcing up, then
Israelites.
it's you that's saying it.
All right, so
So I want
it,
to hold on real quick. This is
So now,
80s. I want to jump in
sorry, it is
just a
bad.
moment, sir. So I think it's important because I think we're talking past each other. Dean is saying that, hey, these people were in play, that they're older than the Hebrew culture, et cetera, et cetera. But I think also what's being said is that the folks were dispersed in 70 AD. So I would imagine that there were already people in those locations when these other folks came there too. There would
Right.
almost be two different populations co-located. So that's what I'm more
You're
curious
right,
to hear
80s,
about.
100%. Right, 100%.
Yeah, and Nigeria, and if we want to be technical, that whole land was colonized and different tribes migrated throughout the years in the whole land of Nigeria and West Africa. So everybody in Nigeria is not even of the same particular tribe in oral traditions. So we will also have to take that into account too. Also, just to make it clear to the audience, we're not saying that we're inserting this into history like like Pre said, and somebody said they want the source. Go to YouTube, type in Israelites in Ghana or Jews in Ghana, and listen to those chiefs of their own prospective areas speak about their traditions being Hebraic from their own mouth. I also said, because he said he was from Africa, I'm not taking from his oral traditions of what his African people did in his region or tribal region. I have a friend that is also from Africa, and she says the opposite of what he is saying. So I think it's unfair to try to be biased and say, well, your interpretation of a person's oral tradition is wrong. My interpretation of these people's oral tradition is right. You're literally saying that those people and what they're saying for themselves is wrong. Not to mention, guys, anybody can look this up. Get a Bible concordance, look up the word Ashan. The word Ashanti in itself has a Hebrew or can link to the Hebrew language because the word Hashan is Hebrew. And anybody can go verify it and look it up. Whether you want to believe it's a connection or not, I think it's safe to mention, or I think it's important to mention, that the word Ashan itself is a Hebrew word that means smoke. And anybody can go type in Hashan right now to see if it has a Hebrew meaning or is it has a Hebrew origin, and you will find out that it does. And that's not from me inserting. Go Google it right now. Whatever you got to do, look it up. But we're not saying Dean. We're not saying that you and whatever your traditions are wrong. We're not saying that. What we're saying is there is still a people within the regions that we're discussing that will agree with the narrative that we're speaking about as far as them being Jews. That's all we're saying. And if you want to say that they're wrong, then you're saying those people and their own culture is wrong. I yield.
Yes.
And I want
May I
to,
say something real quick?
no,
I'm
Would that be the
real,
equivalent of saying that there's no
Hey yo,
racism in
hey yo,
America?
hey yo, hold it down 1 second. It's on 80s.
I just want to say we need to breathe, first of all. And secondly, more than one thing can be true at the same time. And now, break. I have never heard anything so Western, okay, as you telling somebody that they don't know what their family told them and that their family was lying to them and everybody that they know. I I've never heard that today, that you and your whole establishment say that you from a certain people. I now can disprove that. That is so powerful today. So I'm taking that away. Um And I just want to thank the scholarship and the patience of everybody in the room. So I
And
just want
and
to
I
point that
and
out.
I
More than
and I
thank
also,
you for the
my bad, 80s. I also want to make sure I put this out there, right? Y'all know that we got a level of